a screen. Her smile, it shines so bright. She's a queen with every scene. In the morning or the night, recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong.
Battles got power, Florabella stands tall. Every drip, every drop, watch the haters fall. Channel sharp as thorns, ain't taking no mess. Scroll through her feed, feel that queen's finesse. Vines tangle tight, but Flora breaks free. Roots so deep, can't mess with her tree. From the mud she rises, roses from the dirt. Every comment section she lays down hurt. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless. From the garden green to the concrete wall, Florabella, unstoppable nature's child. Leaves whisper secrets, she's the loudest shout. From the channel buzzing, she never backs out. Seed of strength, through seasons she grows. In the face of doubt, her spirit glows. Cameras ain't a limit, she branches out. Thorns in her crown, she wears it no doubt. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless.
All right, beautiful people. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I realized my chair made way too much noise yesterday, so I'm going to try to be more quiet. I'm also going to try and evoke some more natural lighting. Hey, Brownie. What's going on, Booski? What's going on? How's it going? How's it going? I've actually really been enjoying this conversation, especially over the last few days, kind of how it's progressing and the context that I'm adding each day, like as I continue it, right? And I wanted to sort of build off of the conversation that was being had yesterday. Yesterday, I was talking about is the manosphere cultivating dangerous men, right? Is it creating a mindset in men that's resulting in more dangerous interactions with women, etc., etc., right? And one thing that I tried to do, because if you just go in and if you type in MGTOW, if you type in Manosphere, if you type in all these terminology related to these male spaces, you're not going to find what you're looking for, right? You have to actually start listening to some of the ideologies and the mindsets that they're spouting in their videos to really understand, right? I played him before when other people were reviewing him, but I actually finally figured out what channel he actually has that does content. And I think this male is a special breed. You know, he's one of that new generation of men who are just kind of being very weird. They're giving really, really bad advice. They have poor outcomes. You know, they're older. They don't have wives. They can't sustain relationships. And so they're kind of passing down that same, um, you know, disillusionment with women to younger men. They're trying to teach that and impose that on other younger men, which is something that men have always done. You know, I think they don't want young men to have better outcomes than they did. Oh, sorry guys, you're not supposed to be seeing all of that. You're not supposed to be seeing all of that, okay? But what they're trying to do is they're trying to impact the types of outcomes that young men have because they weren't able to, for example, keep a wife or sustain a home with the same woman for decades like their grandparents did, right? Um, and so I do think the manosphere and these spaces online might have started out as a space for incels who don't get women, da 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 da. But it's kind of the mentality is spreading. It's trickling down from men, you know, older men to like sort of the younger generations, the men who've grown up with mostly a digital space where they interact with women and things like that. I think it's all kind of spreading in this weird trickle effect that is having different effects on the different groups of men, right? Young men, I think, are getting the worst effects, right? Because they haven't even learned how to be or how to communicate or have healthy relationships with women yet. And then you have sort of the older generation, kind of late 20s and 30s, where they're not getting married and having children as frequently as their forefathers did in general, right? So this is kind of the acting out of that less rearing of children, less families, less marriages, less relationships. And then you have the old bitter bandits with the worst outcomes who want other men to have those same poor outcomes. So they give terrible advice. So we're going to kind of get into that topic here. And I just want to start out with a video that we didn't get to it yesterday, but it kind of comes from that topic. And now, one thing I'm going to say about the manosphere is they certainly know how to insert women into this kind of mentality, this mental space, in order to you know, they're manipulating women as well, right? If the manosphere is putting out messages via a woman, they might even convince some women that this is the reality, that this is how they should see things, this is how they should operate, and things like that, or how they should change themselves. We saw that in the times of Kevin Samuels, that women were calling into his show and buying into his ideologies. All right, so I do think that the same is kind of happening to some degree. So we're going to look at some mammies, aka women, who have this ideology of manosphere males. Black Mask Soul says, "Sup everyone, sending nothing but peace and blessings. All is well." Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And right back at you. All right, let's get into this video.
40% of women will be single by the year 2030. And don't come for me because these are scientific studies. As in single, never been married, and never had kids. And honestly, I am not even surprised by this study at all. We have normalized hookup culture, and most people are on dating apps just for an ego boost and not to find actual love. Let's not forget how social media has truly made a negative impact in the dating world. So what are your guys' thoughts and opinions on this? Do you think this is actually going to happen? Do you think it's true? And yeah, what are your thoughts?
So let me just say this,
Recently, I've been
right? And before he gets into it, this is already the case, right? We are already seeing this, that women are much more single and childless than they were, right? So by the time we get to 2030, in 5 years, if you really think about it, yes, not that much is going to change than what is currently present. All right, first of all. Second of all, his damn avatar facial expressions are how I feel like men like generally emote right now. How they're emoting right now with the current dating market. So just pay attention to that, guys. I'm being a little silly, but it's it's ridiculous. It's almost like they think that these talking points are real and they harm women, as if women aren't having healthier lives, getting more education, more freedom. Um, even the ones who do have kids are living more before they have children, right? Versus kind of throwing themselves to the side with a child when they're young and still have a lot of life to live. All right, let's continue.
a lot of buzz around the 2019 Morgan Stanley study that predicts 45% of women between the ages of 25 to 44 will be single and childless by 2030. We're at 41% in 2018, so it's expected that more and more women will be single and childless as the years roll on. I was first introduced to this data last week via TikTok. I wish I had the original video, but I scrolled past it quickly in a panic. My first reaction was, wow, I'm going to be single forever. I kind of felt bad for myself for a second. I thought, such a shame. What a sad, companionless life I'll live. When I actually began imagining myself alone in my 30s, I was struck with an overwhelming sense of relief. I can stop putting so much pressure on myself to figure out my career today, right now. I can stop telling myself I'm a lazy piece of shit for not having everything, my career or relationship, a plan figured out today, right now. According to Morgan, I got no kids to worry about for a minute. As long as I can afford to go on the seemingly few bachelorette trips to Mexico that are going to happen, I'm Gucci. I can stop putting so much pressure on myself to make a lot of money, travel the world, and do everything I want to do in the next 3 years before I turn 30. What it sounds like Morgan is trying to tell us is that the girls are going to be happy.
And I don't know if you guys have noticed, right? While she's saying this stuff, the creature, the emoji, whatever you want to call it, has the head flamed red. They're flailing their arms. I mean, this is literally how men are emoting, right? At the sign and at the understanding that women are living the lives that they really want, right? They're still, young women are probably the only ones who are still dumb enough to, that are still dumb enough to center their lives around a young man and what they're doing, right? They expect that when women are saying and admitting these things, that's them accepting defeat or something like that. I don't know where this mentality is coming from, right? I definitely think that both of the genders are tired, right? Are tired of the gender norms, of the lack of communication, the way that we've gone digital with everything, including relationships, and how poor the quality of relationships are now because of that. All right, but let's continue.
And Dua Lipa summers for the next solid decade. What is a Dua Lipa summer, you ask? Okay, you know how Dua Lipa is always on vacation? She's with a big group of friends, other hot girls, seemingly some gays, seemingly some straight guys. Everyone's stylish, wearing one-of-a-kind string bikinis paired with rock-hard abs. They make delicious home-cooked meals at their shared estate, smoke cigarettes by the pool, and have moonlit photo shoots. That's gonna be us. Maybe not right now. Maybe not this summer. Maybe not even next summer. But we're going to stack our bread. Save up for that stud bag and the vintage Chanel sunglasses and the blue marine sheer dress. I might be single and childless, but I will be the best dressed at the handful of friends' weddings. Invite me. I'll be the Dua Lipa of honor. The Google AI overview revealed to me that no, Morgan Stanley is not actually a person. Morgan Stanley was started by Henry Morgan, JP's grandson, the JP, and Harold Stanley, some other guy. So while I can't thank Morgan for giving me this peace of mind, I can thank finance as a whole for bringing us something new to aspire to. The many single and childless Dua Lipa summers ahead.
I hope you've got the kind of money Dua Lipa has for those vacations you're planning. Morgan Stanley didn't say anything we haven't been preaching for years. Most women will be single because of their idea of not settling, because they keep believing they're the prize.
Hold on, sir. Before you translate your delusion, right? That is not what Morgan Stanley said. He did not say that women are going to be single and childless because of their standards. No. He just said women are going to be working, educated, and they're going to be single and childless, and they're no longer aspiring to just families and being the slave to a male, right? That's essentially what that said. But he heard something completely different, and he's expecting women to have heard something different as well. Let's continue to hear his translation. And this, by the way, is what we call male-splaining.
And it's not just their choice. The system also pushes men away from marriage. Current laws make getting married a huge financial risk. Divorce is where the man loses his house, half of everything he's earned, and ends up paying alimony for life. A lot of guys have already seen it firsthand. Fathers, brothers, friends going broke. That's why men would rather not play that game. So by 2030, enjoy your cats and the wall, because the wall doesn't forgive.
And let me just say, guys, 2030 is 5 years away. 5! Cinco. I do not personally, I don't see myself with a bunch of toddlers in 5 years. I don't personally. I don't know about other people. If I find a functional, healthy relationship, I might have a child down the line. But in terms of putting a time on it, 5 years? Y'all are crazy. 35, I hope to be buying property. That would be my first goal, is to buy property, to travel a lot more. Over the next couple of years, I hope to travel a lot more now that we're out of the pandemic. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about going swimming on a rooftop pool somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Africa. I'm thinking about trying seafood from another country. I mean, I'm thinking about so many things, but having a child and being at the wall and chasing a husband is not one of them. It is not. It is not. And I'm so confused where this idea of a wall came from. Because if women are hitting a wall at a certain age, the men just live at the wall, then, is what we're implying. It has to be. Right? But again, that's the name of this channel, so we know what they're doing. We know his mindset. Let's continue.
If you're the nice guy that keeps watching the girl you like get attached to toxic men, you might want to listen up. Today, we're talking about why women love toxic men. Whew, I'm gonna need it. Now, the obvious is that we want to change them. Think of that one thing you were never able to achieve in life. And remember how it felt so good when you finally succeeded? That's why. We want the experience of successfully attaining that thing we couldn't get. And something isn't easy to get, we want it more. Next, usually we feel bad for them. It's not so easy to leave them when we become so invested in their story. Usually this story involves some level of loneliness, and we feel like if we leave them, even though they'll run straight to the next girl, at the end of the day, they'll wind up alone. And the thought of that makes us feel guilty. We like the intensity. Healthy relationships don't have those same...
So I think she's speaking for a particular brand and caliber of women. That's fine. I think she's for sure probably speaking about a phase that a lot of women have in their life, which is to go after projects, men that they have to fix. men that they have to scrape them all together and mold them up to make them a male, right? I think at some point a lot of women do go through that. That's a need of control. That's a lot of a lot of women go through that, I'll admit. But I do think some of the other aspects that she's talking about individual women. And sometimes this is the problem. You have men who are hanging on to every word. They're like, "Oh, what did she say?" She said, "Men gotta be 6 feet, six gotta have six what is it? 6 pack, and they gotta have 6 inches." They hold on to everything. And so instead of taking this as an anecdotal understanding from a particular woman, he's taking this as like, look at these delusional women. Look how stupid they are. They're so delusional. Look at them. This is essentially what they do on these Manosphere channels.
Intense feelings of toxic relationships. There's no peaks and valleys. It's pretty stable. Although there are low lows in a toxic relationship, the dopamine during those highs becomes addicting. We don't feel like we can get anyone else. Usually that feeling becomes more prevalent the longer you're with a toxic guy. You can't imagine yourself starting over. And the thought of being alone is really scary. And that person has convinced us that they're great. And we believe it. Although it's frustrating to watch people you care about winds up in this cycle, if you're a non-toxic guy watching this, there's hope. This cycle doesn't last forever, and I'm an example of that. You eventually hit an exhaustion point of no return. And although there's a lot of healing to be done after the fact, the good guy always wins.
Stop it. Get some help.
Every woman loves going through a toxic guy, and some don't stop at just one, but go through several. It's true. They love the emotional roller coaster, the type of guy who showers them with love one day and knocks them off their cloud the next. Why does it work? Because women hate comfort. Most of them, when they're in a stable relationship with
See,
no
this is what
drama.
I'm saying. I feel like you get a male to just put a voice, or even get an AI voice and just spill his opinion. Women are this, they hate drama, they hate peace, they hate happiness, they hate being healthy, they hate having low cortisol levels, they hate being in good health, they love STIs, they love vaginal, what is it? Bacterial vaginosis. They love STDs. They love men who cheat on them. They love being beat. They love being humiliated. They love being embarrassed and cheated on with their siblings and family. I mean, the shit that men say. And they go to singular women for a reason. When they have these videos where they're reacting to singular women and they're saying this stupid shit, it's for a reason. They're just, next thing you know, it's, oh, women love fat men with small dicks. They're gonna just have you believe. I'm sorry, John. They just say anything, bro. When I tell you, some of these men just get on here and say anything, like whatever their opinion is, that's what they do. It doesn't even have to make logical sense. There could be women sitting across from them saying something completely different. There could be women saying, no, no, we want healthy relationships with men who, respect us and, want us to help them build themselves up. They're ignoring all that. They're like, no, no, no. Women want bad boys. They want evil men who don't take care of their kids. That's what they want. I got it figured out. Thank you so much, HQ, for the super chat. She says, love when men tell women how they feel. Just stupid. It's dumb. It is so dumb. And it irritates me because it's like, oh, okay, tell me some more about how women feel. I've never heard it before. Thank you. Come on. And it's just the arrogance, to think that you're telling women, if there's no drama, if I'm not cheating on her with 6 of her coworkers, she's not gonna be happy. She's not gonna be happy. That's what they'll go and tell themselves on these damn channels. And then flip it around on women and act like we're the ones who are just, Joshua, I can't. Joshua. I cannot. Sometimes I just get tired of listening to these men talk, and we're not even that far in it. A lot of this video is us analyzing what these men say, so bear with me. It's going to be very difficult for me.
Drama, get bored. They need those dopamine hits from time to time. That's why men are sometimes advised not just to do things, but to act. Act like they might be unfaithful, dress well to go out with friends, have a night out, and come home late. Not let themselves be controlled. Sure, you can be loving, but you have to give her a dose of drama, because they need it, to know they can't control you. That's what makes them treat you better, because they don't want to lose their man.
My 30-something-year-old women who don't have kids yet, but you want kids, but you feel like you're running out of time to have them. Where are you? Because same. And I just feel I'm 32, and I just feel like I'm in this place in my life right now where I'm a little selfish. I just moved out and bought my house in December with my boyfriend, and I just feel like I want kids eventually. Like, I definitely want children, but I don't want them right now. But then I'm like, am I getting too old? Like, do I need to get a move on? I'm not married yet. I would like to be married before I have my kids. Like, I just feel like there's so much to do, and like I'm running out of time. So, and every time I see my aunt, she asks me when I'm freezing my eggs. So that doesn't help. But like, I don't know. I'm just not ready. I'm still like, I feel like I still have never even had like my dream body yet. I don't want to get pregnant yet. I'm still trying to get fit and like in shape. And like, my friend brought her baby over last week, and it was me and my sister and our friend, and I was like, holy shit, like, you have a baby and then you just have to bring the baby everywhere. Like, I know that sounds probably stupid to some people, but I don't know. Like, I love being able to just
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. You can be mad at women who have never had children, but this is how it feels. To sit here now as a grown woman who's worked and done everything for myself, I'm elevating myself, you know, building the life that I want. I will have to think about it this way, right? Do I want to just have to take this creature everywhere, this child everywhere? Now, every decision I make has to be with that child in mind. No, we're not just going to jump into these decisions like people did before when they were afraid of, time and, meeting someone and having the ability to eventually have children. I think this is unfortunately the reality now, where women are trying to decide if it even makes sense to have kids right now at the age that we're at. Right? Maybe we just hand it over to Gen Z and tell them, God bless. Um, what other advice can we give Gen Z? Because we need somebody to birth their population. It's not going to be us, but Godspeed. Chikira says, yeah, Sakira says, wants to be watching kids when she should be retiring. Have fun with that. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, it's really up to a person. Like, if you get to a certain age and you just haven't had kids, it hasn't happened for you, you hadn't wanted, maybe you and your husband just be two happy people. You guys, the two of you, retire in your 60s, no debt, no children. You get to live in a nice condo, have room service in your house. So basically, you don't have to cook for yourself. I mean, whatever you can do when you don't have to spend your money on children. I think there's nothing wrong with this, but I do think there's still a stigma. And so that's why people keep questioning, oh, well, I feel like it's getting too late. Oh, I waited till I'm 39. Now I can't have kids. Oh, no. Oh, no. You didn't want them. You didn't want them. I think if you make it to that point and you never have children, I don't think it's something that you wanted. Maybe it wasn't the cards for you. And that's okay. We have to be okay with that. We're being cultured and socialized much differently than the past. So people are not enthusiastic about relationships. People are not jumping into it. They're not having children, families. I think it's better that way. I think it's better for people to do what's within their realm of comfort than for them to force themselves into these families and these units and then make harmful decisions that hurt all the people in those units. So I have no problem with that, but let's continue, right? Because he doesn't like this rationalization that she's doing.
like leave the house in the morning and go to Pilates or go meet up with my friends or it's like a selfish era, I guess. And I know once I have kids, I will love them and want to spend time with them and it won't feel like right now I always complain about the dogs. I'm like, I fucking hate feeding the dogs. The dogs are a pain in the ass, but I know children are different. But like, I don't know, can anyone relate? Like 32, definitely want kids someday, just don't want them right now, but like when when's it too late? I don't know.
Women like this don't understand two things. When you have a child, even if you have the freedom to go out with your friends or spend a night away, you're not going to want to. Not because your husband can't take care of the kid, but because you won't want to. Your priorities change and you'll want to do mom things. The other thing is how demonized motherhood has become. It's like she thinks her world will end after having a child, when it's actually the opposite. First of all, you're already 32. Your biological clock is behind. You've got a husband, you should take advantage of that and give him a child. I don't get why they're so obsessed with getting married first.
Oh, my bad, y'all. I didn't know. My bad. I didn't realize I was muted. My bad. I was over there chit chatting with no sound on. Sorry. But yeah, I think it's so weird that he's like, oh, give him a child, give him a child. No, first of all, if they decide to have children together, that's one thing. But it's a major commitment. And I do think some people can be very happy with the partner, but as soon as you introduce a child, it's just a way different dynamic and things can go awry. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? Let me know when my sound comes back. Weird that he's like, oh, give him a child, give him a child. Okay, my sound first of all, they decide. Sorry, I was trying to make sure you guys can hear me. And now, from what I can hear, you guys should be able to hear me. But yeah, it's like it's this weird mentality where women are just kind of, if they're not having a family for a man, then they're just selfish, self-centered bimbos. I mean, there was a guy in the chat, nobody approved his message, thank goodness. He says, this B sounds dumb, right? Who cares? She's not your B. She's not your woman. You aren't the person who's responsible for having a child with her. So I think the issue is these men don't even want women to have the ability to not you know be a housewife with no other direction in life or anything like that. It's very strange. Let's continue though.
Another thing, you're running out of time, and instead of seizing your opportunity, you're wasting it. Because if you keep waiting and then can't give that man a child, you know he's going to leave. But they don't listen to advice, brothers.
Women.
I've seen that statistic that women over 30 have a 50% chance of getting married. Now, that is an interesting statistic because what I think it's really saying is once you get past 30, only 50% of women are interested in men anymore. That's what it is. It's like, you know what? Once you're 30, you've got your money.
Listen. And the numbers are slowly, not even slowly, they're quickly declining. It's becoming even less than 50%. Right? It's becoming less. Thank you so much, Empress, for the floating heart. I appreciate you. Greatly do. Greatly do. Let's continue.
You've got your career. You've got your car. You've got a house. You're doing your thing, and you realize, unless a man is genuinely nice to me, genuinely nice to me, what good is he doing? What good is he doing around here? Why do I need a man again? For what? For what? So once women get to their 30s, they realize how much they are capable of doing on their own, how great their life can be single. And the interest from women goes down. That's what it is. Because I'm telling you, I'm getting a lot of men confused in my comments and in my DMs about what exactly I'm trying to say when I'm making it clear that I'm single and child-free and like in my 30s. That's not an advertisement for you to date me. It's not. I don't want to date you. Definitely not if you're commenting on my posts being like, I'm a single dad, I'm 33, my condolences. My condolences to you. Sorry to hear that. But that's got
Sorry to hear that, but that's got nothing to do with me, right? Yes, Joanne, I definitely think that this is a major issue, right? Women are waiting to get married and have kids. Women aren't jumping into that while they're still young, vulnerable, inexperienced, right? They're not looking to just have a child with the youngest or even wealthiest looking young man, right? That's not the case anymore. So what that means is a lot of men who would have had wives in the past are by themselves, and their seed is not coming to be. They're not having children. That's a major thing. Right? You can't have more people without people having children. And this is probably the 20s, I'll say the 25s and ups are probably the ones having the least amount of children right now. And that's a major issue in society because it's never been the case, right? People who are of childbearing age and up generally have always been the ones reproducing rapidly, right? But once we got a handle of teen pregnancy, teen dating and having children around that age, women getting married young and not getting education. Once we evolved from that, there's no reason for women to be settling just to get in a marriage with some dude just to have a man. There's no mentality like that anymore.
nothing to do with me. And it never will. Numbers don't lie, but you can absolutely manipulate them to fit your narrative. So anytime you hear a number, you gotta think about that statistic. What else could that be saying? What other reasons could explain why that number is the way it is? Gotta put your thinking caps on for that one.
She says that by 30, women don't need a man because they've got a car, a career, and a house. What they don't talk about is the other side of the story. Most of those women are also buried in debt, student loans, mortgages, credit cards, even car payments. And a lot of them end up back at their parents' house because they can't afford to live on their own.
Now, let me just say this. How many men out here, right, are able to afford an apartment a car without a car payment, right? An apartment or a house without a mortgage or some other type of payment, credit cards. These are things people need. That if you have a brain and you know how to balance them out properly, right, they can actually help you have good credit and be able to make bigger purchases over time. Right? So again, these men will take anything to try and make women feel badly. These are things that any person living in society in America today has to do. right? And men who have degrees as well. They didn't all just pay off all their debt right away. Now they're low debt. They have low bills and they're just living a debt free life because they don't have women. No, they're just as broke as they would have been if they were with a woman. You know, very false narrative. Joanne Jenkins says, if I had married my first boyfriend, I would have been a miserable woman. Right. Right? But that's what was happening before. Back in the days, like women were being pushed into relationships, especially if they had intercourse and just fell pregnant. You can't fall pregnant, but obviously there wasn't access to contraceptives and things like that. Let's continue though.
Most men in their 30s are looking for younger women. A man who hits his 30s with his life in order isn't looking for a woman drowning in bills. He doesn't want a liability. He wants someone who adds value. And that's the issue. Aside from the fact that their biological clock is already working against them, a lot of these women aren't an asset. They're a burden. So don't expect a man to be your lifeline.
Something I learned from my toxic relationship, and one of the worst things a man can do to you is future fake you. When a man messes up and they betray you, they will come back and make you false promises and into the future saying, oh, I'm going to change, I'm going to go to therapy, or I'm going to change and things are going to get better. And the future looks bright for us because I'm going to propose to you in a year, or we're going to have a baby. And that's what future faking is. And future faking is actually transactional because they're making you a false promise, a promise that you pretty much wanted. And they say, okay, I'm going to make you this false promise, but you stay in the relationship. So then you get stuck. And that's what happened with me in my last relationship. My ex would make me false promises. He betrayed me and hurt me. And then he came back and apologized and said that he was going to change, that he was going to go to therapy, and that he was not going to drink anymore. And when I would ask him, like, hey, you said you were going to go to therapy this month, and he never went. And he would be like, oh, sorry, it's next month. The enrollment's next month. And he kept on making all of these excuses. And so that's what future faking is. It's a false promise to keep you stuck in the relationship when nothing's ever going to change.
I want you to notice that she gave the toxic guy more than one chance. He kept promising he'd change, and she kept believing him. Then she says she doesn't like bad guys, but you watch how he...
So it's always easy because I feel like what a lot of these guys do too is try to act like they're the exception, right? They're the good guy. They're not like these other guys. And that's just not the case, right? That it's just not the case. Most of them are acting and emoting like this, right? They're giving it all they got. It's still mediocre, and women are we're trying to, at least at one point, give men a chance. And I think that's where they went wrong, is giving men chances and working with men who are performing or presenting very subpar in a relationship, right? Accepting that low tier effort. That's what's kind of made a lot of them think that women are asking for too much nowadays. All right, so now couple this mentality, these talking points, with the other side of this, right? And this is where, before we get into that, guys, I wanted to do this one as well. I wanted to do this one because I was like, ooh, they found themselves a manosphere mammy. All right. And I think these women who get online and act like that women are just at a major scarcity of men and that women just can't get the men that they want, right? These type of women just they make me laugh because I just know that their audience is male. Like if we were to look at their algorithm, it would probably say 80% male audience. Like literally, because the message makes zero sense. So let's get into this one really quick, and then we're gonna pivot to incels, right? And incels are those men online, right? Those males online or turning to online spaces for information on how to seek women, and they're not getting the right kind. All right, let's start with this one first, and then we'll pivot there.
World are dressing up, stepping out, giving green lights, and still going home alone. They're smiling, they're waiting, and nothing happens. They post about it, they make TikToks about it. Some even go viral saying, can we please bring back the men that are walking up to women? But you know what most men say back? Nope, I'm good.
Okay, so not only do men not approach women in clubs in New York, but they don't even acknowledge you when you come and sit on the same table as them.
So, what happened? Why did men stop approaching women? It wasn't overnight. Something deeper shifted socially, emotionally, and even psychologically. And what you're about to hear might just make you feel a little more understood.
Let me tell you something, right? Talking about men have not stopped approaching women, right? They've just gotten a lot creepier with it, right? They're not good at it anymore. They don't have the social skills. Are you understanding? Are you catching my drift here? Now, she's going to feed you guys a bullshit story about how she believes that men have given up trying to access women. Huh? Do we believe this? I don't, right? But we're going to go into it.
Than you've had in a long time. This isn't just a dating trend. This is happening everywhere, from clubs in New York to gyms in LA, from college to coffee shops, you name it. There's a noticeable silence. And if you think women aren't noticing it,
Well, hold on.
they are.
Wasn't there just a video of a bandit saying that women don't say hello in the grocery store anymore? That's what I thought. I don't know. Let's hear this woman tell us some more about how there's suddenly silence. Men don't want us anymore because we're so mean. We're so mean and rotten and feminist. Let's continue.
You can scroll through any social platforms and find posts like, I was dressed up, I smiled at a guy, and nothing. We made eye contact 3 times, he never came over. Where did all the confident men go? But here's the twist, they're still here. They're just quiet now. Because for a grown number of men, it's not about shyness. It's not about fear. It's about self preservation. It's about looking at the rules of the game and realizing the game doesn't serve them anymore. And once you understand what happens in gyms and clubs, you'll realize the silence isn't weakness,
Let me just tell
it's
you,
strategy.
and this is why I think she's delusional. I still don't want any men to approach me at the gym. I don't care how fine you are. Actually, the finer you are, the less I want you to approach me in the gym. That's how I feel. I don't want you to approach me in public, period. Any male. Any part of the male species. None. Not even children. Not even male children. Male children don't approach me in public either. I don't want to talk to you. I want to prepare you for what you're going to experience when you become an adult. Don't approach women when they're trying to exercise. Maybe talk to us when we're leaving. Maybe when we're on our way home. Maybe in the parking lot. Actually, you know what? That's weird too. Just don't talk to us. Just don't talk. Can somebody point me to the women that are feeling a scarcity and want men to talk to them in public or at the gym? Just point me to those women. I want to meet them and I want to study them because I don't feel that way. And I don't know a lot of women who want to be approached while they're sweaty and trying to exercise and burn calories. But apparently, she says that we're sad about this. I don't know. Hey, we unlock. He sends a super $2 super chat and says, "Hey you, hey you, hey you. How you doing today? Thank you so much for the super chat. I greatly appreciate you. You are appreciated in my space. Thank you so much. We unlock. Let's continue though.
Let's talk about one of the most important battlegrounds in this debate, the gym. For years, women online have said, stop looking at me. Don't bother me when I'm working out. Creeps at the gym need to be exposed, they say. And guess what? Men listen. So now, men keep their distance. They
Did
avoid eye
they?
contact. Some even
Do
change
they?
gyms altogether just to.
All right, let's take a survey, okay? In the chat, ladies. If men no longer bother you at the gym, put a 1 in the chat. If men no longer try to have conversations with you, put a 1 in the chat. I forgot how to do polls, but put a 1 in the chat if men are no longer bothering you when you go and exercise at the gym. If men are still bothering you at the gym, put a 2 in the chat, please. Joanne Jenkins says there are women who get their hair and makeup to go to the gym. They're the ones who want to be approached. Joanne, but somehow they always ignore those women. They always walk right by those women. Okay, Linda. Linda May says, yes, she's not being approached at the gym. I forget what was the ones that I said to say. One is no longer being approached at the gym. Two is you're still being approached at the gym. Linda, you just changed your answer. Is it one or two? Empress says she's not being approached at the gym. Right? Put it in the chat. I'm going to give people some time and continue.
Avoid the risk of being filmed, shamed, or even misunderstood. And here's the irony. That same gym is now filled with women asking, why won't anyone approach me? Where are all the confident men? What happened to real masculinity? You want the truth? It got pushed out. It was called creepy. It was called aggressive. And it was called doing too much. And after enough times of being shut down, mocked, or mischaracterized, men just left the conversation. They didn't argue. They just stopped. They stopped approaching. They stopped risking it. They stopped trying because what used to be charming is now problematic. And when even a polite hello.
Let me just say, approaching a person, any person, male or female, while they're exercising, sweaty, in the zone, I just think it's rude in general, right? I don't think there was ever a time where that was attractive. Joanne talked about how there's women who get their hair and makeup to go to the gym. They're the ones who want to be approached. I agree. I definitely think that there are some signals that women send about like their approachability in the gym, and I think a lot of it does have to do with their appearance. Even women who are dressed what men would consider provocatively in the gym, right? Like sports bra and shorts. I don't think that means that woman is necessarily seeking attention, right? But if you do see a woman who has an outfit like that, but she has makeup on and her hair is dolled up, right? She might be looking for something else. She might. Still not an open door to approach her and try to get her attention. I think you should definitely use your knowledge of body language and things like that if you see that, right? But even that is still not an automatic yes, that yes, women want to be approached. I still think it's happening though, right? Joanne said 2, Linda May said 2, right? I wonder what a survey of like 1,000 women would come back, right? How many women are going to say that they're still being approached? Because as far as I was concerned, catcalling and men trying to interact with women, that has not decreased. Davey Richards says women don't want to be approached in the gym. No, they don't. When I'm in the zone getting like my workout in, I'm about 25 minutes into a HIIT workout. I'm about to pass out when I go home. Right? I'm gonna fall like a bag of bones. I'm not thinking about, what the cutest man in the gym is gonna say to me, or if somebody's interested. I'm usually not. Empress says it depends on the location of the gym as well. Yeah, it does. It depends on the time of day, right? We saw a case of a woman at nighttime. She was like, a guy was trying to approach her and trying to come in the gym and talk to her, right? There's no way that guy could try to say, "Oh, I wasn't being creepy." No, if you're trying to approach a woman at the gym in the middle of the night, just assume that she's gonna think you're weird. Just assume, because not only is it nighttime, but she's somewhere where she's vulnerable, right? Because she's exercising, she has headphones on, she might be caught off guard, and you're feeling like that's a place you can come and approach her, right? That's a problem. It's not women being rude to not want to be talked to or engaged in conversation while you're trying to exercise. That's not what we're there for. We're there to exercise. Like I said, I think maybe if you see a woman at the gym that you find attractive, when she's leaving, you stop her and say, "Hey, I think you did. I loved your workout. I do. I like these similar, or I like your bicep, whatever it is that you liked about that woman." The best time I think would be when she's leaving. right? And that's if you can find a smooth way to do it. If she's leaving, don't chase after her to the parking lot and try to get her phone number and be like, "Hey, I like your workout. I like what you're doing over there. I like how you look in those leggings. Oh, heavy breathing and shit." Like, some of these men just don't understand kind of how it comes across when you approach a woman a certain way. Like, one guy tried to tell me how to do a workout differently, and I was like, okay. Put my headphone back in and just kept working out because I don't care. Like, even if you gave me good advice, why are you trying to stop me while my workout to tell me how to do something better? I'm not here for personal training. I'm not here for personal training. I didn't solicit your services. So don't try to give me advice on how to do a workout. Don't. Especially not thinking you're being smooth or something. Like, if you don't get out of my face, it's just not the time. For me personally, and I know a lot of women say this, it's not the time. But like I said, if there's a woman in there looking dolled up, looking like she's ready to, you know, pick a man up, she got makeup on, like it's obvious, that's different. Um, Joanne Jenkins says, just say no to heavy breathing. Some of them will come over to you all heavy breathing, and they want you to think it's because they just finished a heavy workout. It's like, no, you are just a mouth breather. Back up. I don't want any of your advice. Let's continue though. Apparently, this woman thinks that we are we're feeling at a loss that men are not coming and interrupting our workouts.
Can turn into a viral takedown video. Why even try? Now, let's talk about the clubs. Back in the day, clubs were the hunting ground, the energy, the chase, the fun. But go out now, you'll find more people staring at their phones than dancing. VIP tables full of bored faces. Guys standing around just sipping their drinks like they were a security guy. Why?
Now, I'm just going to say
Because
this. I don't know where she's seeing this because I was in New York City a couple weekends ago. And when I tell you it was lively in the club, like there was no room to stand anywhere because all the sections of the club were filled with people dancing and hanging out. I mean, just a beautiful, wonderful vibe. I'm going to say it again. New York City is a vibe. It's a whole vibe. And I'm not talking about just anywhere. I'm talking about certain particular environments with certain people, my people, or just a complete vibe. So I don't know about all of the other environments, but it's a whole vibe. I don't think that this is true for everywhere. I definitely think a lot of people, especially the younger generations, don't know how to party anymore, right? They don't let loose when they go out, or if they are the ones going out, then they're presenting stiff, right? I don't think this is everybody though.
clubs flip the script. Women now get in free. Men pay to enter, pay to sit, pay to drink, pay to exist. And when they finally get the courage to talk to someone, you don't touch me. Oh, you're not my type. Why are you talking to me? It's not a party anymore. It's a trap. Men are realizing that they're just paying to be ignored. So they stay home.
What? Men are paid to be ignored. Who's getting auto dubbed like this at the club? You guys are getting just dubbed on arrival throughout the whole time that you're in the club. This is sad. This is sad. I've never seen it this way. I have seen that people are scared to approach. Like, there's less male approaching to some degree, right? Like, but those same men are just, they have their backs against the wall. It's not like they're not going. They have their backs against the wall, or they're just hanging out with their boys the whole night. None of them ever have the courage to do anything. They all just go home together at the end. That's, I don't, part of my problem with her is like, is she trying to imply that the men who are not outgoing when they go out are representative of all men? Because there's definitely still men out there who go out and get women. It's just not, it's different, especially as you go lower in ages. When you go to people in their early 20s, the way that those people emote and relate to each other is much different than late 20s, 30s. And the people who are late 20s, 30s are much different than the people late 30s, 40s. Like we have big gaps in between how we even have relationships and things like that. And you have some people who are older and younger who are trying to be more grown or be look younger or act younger or go to these clubs and dress like they're 25 years old and they're in their 40s. So
They work out, they invest, they level up in silence because that's where they're valued. That's where they feel safe. But let me ask you something. What happens when women miss the attention they used to swat away? That's where we're heading next. Number 3, the attention.
let me just say something, Beast King. Beast King says I had to pay $250 to get in the club, $150 for parking, $180 for drinks, and ignored all day. Why should I go? Why didn't you get up and go talk to somebody? Do I have to teach you guys how to have Riz? I can't teach grown men to have Riz. That's something you need to find within. You need to be able to get up. You paid $180 for drinks. Okay, you're in my section. Hey, beautiful. How you doing, gorgeous? You having a good night? Do I gotta get up and give you guys game? Hey, beautiful. How you doing? Hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. Oh, you want to dance? Let's dance. Hey, hey, hey. People see you having a good time, and then more people come. It's like these men want to be told that they have to be pleasant. Be pleasant. Maybe people will want to be around you, want to catch a vibe. Kosum said, don't need to go to a club to get play. You got scammed, little bro. So what do you suggest that he do? Like, this is my problem. What do you suggest that he do? Be pleasant and maybe some women will want to be around you. Be pleasant and maybe people will want to be in your company. The people who used to have those pop-in sections back in the day when people used to dance at the club, right? It's because they had a fun time. Oh my gosh. Y'all are a mess. Yes, Riz, Empress. It's like these guys don't understand what Riz is. Riz is simple. All you have to do is have some game. You want attention. You want women to want to be around you. Just have a little bit of Riz. You already paid for the parking. You already got the bottle. Right now, dance. Hey, what's up, beautiful? Let's dance. Hey, hey, something like do something. What do you guys want? Women like these men want to be unpleasant just because they showed up. It's not a lot. Baby is cheap. Talking about look, made flow laugh easy. All I'm saying is people act like it's difficult to get some little riz, some little attention. It's typical. All you have to do is be pleasant. Bring a good time to people. Be nice. Like all skills, it requires practice. You're gonna fail, but one day you're gonna get that ish on God. You know what, Kosef? That's a good advice. I do think at some point you're gonna fail. You're gonna approach women and they're not gonna be into you. They're gonna be like, "Ew, you're dusty. Get out of here. Get out of here. You're dusty." Right? But next weekend they might be like, "Oh, he's cute. Look, he's here again. He got a section again. This time he's dressed a little better. This time he's dancing." Right? You get your game up, and next weekend you might get the woman that you're interested in. And next weekend you might meet a prettier lady that you're interested in. It's just ridiculous. Hey, Don. He said, "Not my op in the chat." Davey be using all his riz to flirt and joke around with women in the chat. These are not difficult things to do. It's weird when women approach men; they don't speak at times. Yeah, I don't believe necessarily in just like going out and approaching random men. I do think sometimes it calls for a woman to like step out of frame and like show that she's interested, but no, I don't think we should be approaching men. Give her the turbulence on the dance floor. Let her hear. What are you talking about? Don says the first step is personality. Exactly. Have something to you. Be trying to accomplish something. Have goals. Right? Be that man who's working out and who's investing in his body and who's doing interesting things. That's how you get the women, not by being a weirdo and saying like, "Oh no, these women, they want too much. I spent $250 today at the club." Okay, and if you had just a little bit of riz, you would have been able to have a good time. This only happened in America, but when I go to other countries, other clubs, I get approached beautiful women everywhere. It sounds like you're a passport bro. All right. So, and if that's the case, I suggest you continue to use your passport. Um, or be funny and make the girl laugh. If she spits while laughing, maybe she'll. Oh God, that's too much, Kosif. You're doing too much, and this is exactly why y'all give men bad advice. Because that's you guys teach men to jump to the sexual, jump to trying to get some kitty cat, or you make it all about getting some kitty cat. Anybody can get and go have sex, right? But what kind of man can keep a woman in her life? What kind of woman can keep a man in her life? Right? There has to be more to you. Um, Flo said I'd be rizzing women in the chat. Sound like a defamation suit. No, you do. You be going around the chat rizzing, joking around. They be like, "Yeah, Davey, you so funny." Yeah, it's Riz, right? You're trying to be pleasant. You're trying to have a pleasant conversation. It's like men don't think that they have to do that anymore because of these type of conversations that women want to have. Kosov said, "If I'm at the club, I ain't looking for love," and this is why women stopped wanting men to approach them. Period. Right? Because they'll go to a club, they'll go to a public environment looking to socialize with men, and those men are looking for sex. Right? They're looking for people to take home. Even like what she's saying. Oh, you're not going home with nobody tonight. Okay, and shit, I want to go home to my bed. I got snacks, I got water, I got Netflix. My cat and I are gonna go watch season 6 of whatever show just came out. I mean, what do we need to go home with a man for after the club? But this is that mentality where she's coming from a male perspective. What's wrong with being a passport bro? Back then there was a movement called Hot Girl Summer, and no one talked down about that. And what exactly was Hot Girl Summer promoting? Um Sad Cow says, a Canadian man approached me before online. He asked why I'm not work. And then when I work, he started get angry and say random things. I just tried to chase his money. Okay, Sad Cow, I don't know what you're talking about. But thank you for your comment. Davey said, Dawn, I know what you like. 1 drink minimum. Wow, that's crazy. Kosov says, I've been married 10 years. This advice may not be credible anymore. So why would you be? This is what I'm saying. I'm telling you, these older men be wanting y'all to be miserable. Because why would you be giving men this advice knowing that you're married already? Knowing that you're married already. It's because you don't want to see other men in better relationships, with healthier relationships, with women that you perceive to be better than yours. It's unfortunate.
Drought. So now here we are. The gyms are quiet. The bars are empty. They're dry. And suddenly, women are starting to notice. They're posting TikToks like, nobody flirts anymore. Men don't say hi in public anymore. I can walk down the street in full glam and nothing. And this is where it gets interesting because not that long ago, those same women were annoyed. When a man complimented them at the gas station, when a stranger said they looked beautiful, when a guy politely tried to strike up a conversation, it was, why are you bothering me? I didn't ask for attention. Ugh, men are so thirsty. But now that it's gone, that attention feels different. It's not annoying anymore. It's not creepy. It's not a problem. It's missed because deep down, even when a woman isn't interested in a guy talking to her, she still wants to be wanted. And when that spotlight disappears, it hits different. That dopamine hits from being noticed. That tiny confident boost from a stranger smiles. That little ego lifted from knowing you still got it. Yeah, that silence gets real loud. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about male validation. It's not about making women feel dependent or needy. It's about the natural dynamic between masculine and feminine energy. Masculine energy pursues, feminine energy attracts. But if men are
Oh
walking
my
away, the
goodness.
balance disappears.
Bubba,
And when the balance
men are not
disappears,
walking away from nothing, okay? Right? It's actually become documented that men are not able to handle rejection the same way that they did in the past nowadays. All right? Let's see this case here of an incel who decided to take out his feelings on women, on some unsuspecting women in public. All right? The reason why I wanted to pivot there was because I know she was going to get into some stupid gendered conversation that is just not self-serving at all and just slow. So, all right, let's get into this here, right? An incel attacking women with pepper spray.
Such a thing. A man walks up to unsuspecting women and terrorizes them with shouts of insults and much worse. When they ask him to go away, he does the unthinkable, pepper spraying them right in the face. The brazen suspect is identified as Johnny Young. He's 25, and police say he is a self-described woman-hating incel. The most recent attacks happened here in the upscale community of Costa Mesa, California. Police say he approaches women, alone or in groups, and verbally assaults them to get attention. All of it on camera. Incredibly, when they defend themselves and fight back, he then claims to be the victim. These two women experienced the attacks firsthand. Emily, who only wants us to use her first name, was assaulted in this video posted by Young. When this guy walked up to you, I mean, he got more and more vulgar.
Yes.
And his voice was very scary. When she was pepper sprayed, she punched him in the face and bloodied his nose. In another attack, Jessica Estrada raced after Young when he started harassing her girlfriends. Could you tell he was videotaping you?
No, we didn't know at all.
After she was pepper sprayed, she bravely fought back.
I threw my phone at him and I hit him.
Police say that Johnny Young lives out of this white van with a green stripe and has posted similar attacks on women in Las Vegas.
And, you know, this is the problem, right? When you tell women that men don't, or when you tell men, or sorry, when you tell women that men don't want them, right? You're excluding this whole group of men who doesn't have access to women. They don't have what they want, right? They want women. They want to be around them. They want touch. They want sex. They want whatever it is that they want from women, and they have no access to it, right? Women aren't dealing with them. Women are actually hyper focused on danger as it relates to relationships and men, right? You're erasing all of these people. And that's the problem in this conversation, especially in the conversation coming from that woman that we were just listening to a second ago, right? Because if that were really true, right, why did this happen then? And why do things like this continue to happen?
It could have happened to anybody.
Actually only spoke up one time.
How could you just degrade that? How could you not like that? At least show some interest, show superhuman skill, stamina, speed, and strength.
You don't have to respond if you don't want to.
Come on.
Do you want to? Or?
You're about fitness, but you're not about speed.
Okay, that's enough. Okay, thank you. Let's move forward to our final real one here as we try to wrap this up. Name, age, and why you broke your heart.
My name is Jasmine. I am 28 years old. You don't have shoes on. I will say that first and foremost.
Why is that a problem with everybody? Come on, man.
We're in a public area. You did state that you are very cleanly.
Yes.
OCD maybe. Yet you're walking in a public place with no shoes on.
And I mean, honestly, some of these Pop the Balloon shows are so ghetto. I mean, she's wearing a workout outfit and it doesn't... Okay, but that's besides the point. But he's walking barefoot. I wouldn't date somebody who's on a show like this barefoot either. There's got to be something wrong with you. You have to be unwell to be like that in public, anyways. Hey Lana Love. Hey Sugar Bum. We got some people coming in. Thank you all for joining the show. As you come in, if you can like the button, like the stream, hit the like button, share the stream, and all of that. All greatly appreciated.
It's kind of contradicting, and I don't like contradictory people.
Well, you kind of diagnosed me as OCD. I don't have OCD. You know, it's perfectly natural in man's natural primal form to be bare. And hey, I'm natural, primal, and hey.
Yeah, we're way past that. Let me just say this: we're way past that, my guy. Way past natural primal times. This is why I hate when men talk about nature and their nature, because they start doing weird shit and they want people to just act like it's normal because they're men, they're males. And listen to this one now.
No, full speed. Are you ready? That's ugly. Oh, 40 quid. Spicy. Stupid bitch wanna act stupid and ugly. Not wrong. It's not. Please say it's not. Okay, my bad. You mean Manosphere? My bad.
I'm not interested in talking to you.
Because of what?
Because I don't want to. I don't have to
Because
give you a
who are you?
reason. Because I don't want
Are you
to.
God?
Yes, I am. Because
Are you black God or black Jesus?
listen, I'm not interested in
Please,
talking to
you
you.
can fuck off.
You came to me. I didn't come to
Yeah,
you.
and you should answer me normally.
And I
That's
said,
respect.
no. I said politely, I'm not interested
In what?
in talking
About what?
to you because I'm not.
Listen, and when I tell you some of these African men are scary, the way that they emote and the way that they get upset when you're not interested. Because listen, he had a major crash out. All right, the guy at the restaurant had a crash out. But let's hear the beginning again of her interaction with this guy.
Listen, I'm not interested in talking to you.
Because of what?
Because I don't want to. I don't have to
Because
give you
who
a
are you?
reason. Because I don't
Are
want
you
to.
God?
Yes, I am. Because
Are you black God or black Jesus?
listen, I'm not interested in
Please,
talking to
you
you.
can fuck off.
You came to me. I didn't come to
Yeah,
you.
and you should answer me normally.
And
That's
I said,
respect.
no. I said politely, I'm not interested
In what?
in talking
About what?
to you because
Because
I'm not
of
interested.
what?
Because I don't want to. I don't
Then
have
fuck
to.
off. You can go back to your village.
Okay.
If you stay there alone, if you don't want to talk, you see?
Okay.
Don't behave like a motherfucking villager.
Okay.
With your bombo clad shoes.
Okay.
Are you flying? Are you a parachute or what?
Man.
Damn, nigga. Don't try to talk somebody. You try to say I'm interested. You're interested. Are you God? Fuck off, nigga, bitch. You kidding me? You ugly, man. You're not
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you.
You think because of an iPhone 13 you are so cute?
Yeah.
Are you Are you Miss USA? Are you Doichi? That's anxiety, man. You got anxiety problems. You feel me? Try to listen to some good music. Feel me? Hey, listen to some good music.
I'm not interested.
In what?
Please go.
Please.
No, I'm not joking.
Hey, calm
Please
down.
go. Okay.
Calm down and listen to some good music. You understand?
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Here we go again. I'll talk with them, bitch. Trying to behave like she important. You don't important nothing. I'm trying to talk a bit and you try to I'm interested. You're interested. Well, get the fuck out of here, man. What the motherfucking nonsense is happening with Germany, bro? You guys said bitch is not like this.
Men have to get over killing people because they're getting rejected.
Whew, that one was a lot. All right, he had a whole manic episode. Episode. I was reading the African. He African, just nasty people. Come on, Dave. Why you trying to come in here and do African like that? He said, you got your little iPhone and think you're cute? Yo, he had so many different episodes. So many. We're going to listen to that again real quick because he got a little crazy in the end there and it was very scary for her. If I was her, I would have been running. I don't give I'm taking off on you. And then everyone's going to look around and be like, why is she running? That's how I'm putting you out there. Like, I'm not about to sit there and have a conversation with you when you're acting like this.
What?
Because I don't want to. I don't have to
Because
give you
who
a
are you?
reason. Because I don't want
Are you
to.
God?
Yes, I am. Because
Are you black God or black Jesus?
listen, I'm not interested in
Please,
talking to
you
you.
can fuck off.
You came to me. I didn't come to
Yeah,
you.
and you should answer me normally.
And
That's
I said,
respect.
no. I said politely, I'm not interested
In what?
in talking
About what?
to you because
Because
I'm not
of
interested.
what?
Because I don't want to. I don't
Then
have
fuck
to.
off. You can go back to your village.
Okay.
If you stay there alone, if you don't want to talk, you see?
Okay.
Don't behave like a motherfucking villager.
Okay.
With your bombo clad shoes.
Okay.
Are you flying? Are you a parachute or what?
Man.
Damn, nigga. Don't try to talk somebody. You try to say I'm not interested. You're not interested.
He said, "Are you fly? Are you a parachute?" Yo, the crash out is crazy. Yeah, exactly, Sugar Bun. But men are logical. There's nothing logical about this, right? This is pure ego right here. Pure ego.
What? Fuck off, nigga, bitch. You kidding me? You ugly, man. You're not
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you.
You think because of an iPhone 13 you are so cute?
Yeah.
Are you Miss are you Miss USA? Are you Doichi? That's anxiety, man. You got anxiety problems. You feel me? Try to listen to some good music. Feel me? Hey, listen to some good music.
I'm not interested.
In what?
Please go.
Please.
No, I'm not joking.
Calm
Please
down.
go. Okay.
Calm down and listen to some good music. You understand?
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Here we go again. I talk with damn bitch. Trying to be a machine fun. You don't important nothing. I'm trying to talk a bit and you touch on. I'm interested. You're interested. Well, get the fuck out of here, man. What the motherfucking nonsense is happening in Germany, bro? You said bitch is nothing like this.
Men have to get over killing people because they're getting rejected. Like men, that can't go on. Like that is like I just like they said the Idaho murders that he was DMing one of them and then he didn't get a reply. The argument was insolent, not even consistent.
Accused of shooting her in a fit of rage was sentenced to life in prison without parole. 10 News reporter Vanessa Van Hefty talked to the mother who faced her daughter's killer today for the very first time. And Vanessa, she's now speaking out about what happened.
Yeah, Jennifer's mother gave a very emotional victim's impact statement here today in court. She says she is just relieved that she'll never have to see her daughter's killer again.
Every day she's thought about, every day she's missed.
Jennifer Cranick's mother says her daughter was never one to mix words. And when she turned Casey DeShita down for a date, he snapped, shooting her in the head outside of this Lemon Grove nightclub.
She didn't want him knowing my daughter. She flat out told him off, and it made him mad.
Today, Gail Banuelos finally got the chance to face her daughter's killer.
She didn't want you, so you stole her inner and outer beauty from all of us. You stole my baby girl.
The 32-year-old convicted killer sat stone-faced as Jennifer's mother explained why she didn't push for the death penalty.
The gut-wrenching pain I wake up with every day, the morning I can't get away from, even in my sleep, and the anguish I deal with daily due to the horrific murder of my daughter.
And you know, it does happen a lot more than people realize. A lot more, right? Because sometimes these cases go unsolved, unresolved at the end of the day, right? Right? But those are just a few examples. There are many, many more, right? But before we get into that, I want to take a little bit of a deep dive into some of these fringe ideas about manhood they're driving these very negative perceptions and ways in which men are interacting with women. All right. He's 32. He looks 42. Yeah, he looked geriatric to me. That's why I was like, wait, this man is being rejected and he's deleting someone over it. How old is he? But yeah, this degeneracy doesn't change with age with a lot of these bandits. All right. But let's get into it.
America's young men are lost. At least that's what they're telling us online. From feeling disconnected in school, relationships, and even purpose, to loneliness. Our nation's boys are turning to the internet for answers and guidance. And that's where they find the Manosphere, a world of influencers promoting strength, stoicism, and often misogyny. Extremely Normal, a new investigative series by USA Today's extremism reporter Will Carlos, examines how extremist and fringe ideas and movements have moved into America's mainstream. Hello and welcome to USA Today's The Excerpt. I'm Dana Taylor. Today we're diving into one part of Extremely Normal, the Manosphere. What is it and how it can devolve from ideas about fitness and discipline into something darker. We'll step into the Manosphere space to see what teenage boys and young men in their 20s are consuming online and to understand how it's shaping their worldview. Will, welcome back to The Excerpt.
Thanks for having me on.
Let's start with a full definition. What is the Manosphere?
Well, the sort of most accepted definition of the Manosphere is essentially a collection of podcasters and influencers pretty much exclusively, if not exclusively, male, who preach a mix of essentially self-help, fitness, taking control of your life. But the concerning side of it is that there's often a misogynistic or an anti-female or at least an anti-feminist element to their messaging. So essentially they're playing.
Hey, Robin. Yeah, a lot of people are definitely becoming hip to the manosphere and what they're trying to do in these degenerate spaces, right? But I think there still is a lack of understanding, a very big lack of understanding. Hey, Robin M. Right? And I just want to point you guys to the comment section real quick. And this is why I say there's a detachment, right? When we looked at the video called The Wall or whatever it was, the engagement in that video was significant, right? This video, which is legitimately by USA Today, this is recent, great data, great interview, 684 views, and read the comments. Hello, I am perfect. Not that one. This video is a clear example of a car crash in slow motion, intellectually at least. The folks in this video do not understand anything about what the manosphere actually is. I would find it interesting if the author of Rational Male, Rollo Tomasi, would address them. That way they can actually learn what the manosphere actually is from somebody who is qualified to talk about it. The folks here need to stop getting information from people who do not represent the manosphere and are just red meat for people who don't agree with the message of the manosphere. The problem is the message of the manosphere is not one that's beneficial to men. Look at the type of environment that it's cultivated, right? Look at the type of relationships that it's created amongst men and women. That's the issue. That's why people need to address it. That's why they need to call it what it is. All right, so settle in. Let's watch.
Into the sadness and the desperation that you mentioned in your intro among young men. And the excuse that they give young men is basically the reason that you feel like this is because of women and because of the way that women treat men and because of the way that men are treated. And that's the sort of underlying message of the manosphere.
Well, you've covered extremism in the United States for years now. Tell us more about what drove you to explore this topic of young men in particular. What question or questions were you hoping to answer?
It's a couple of things. I mean, firstly, I think that this is an enormous issue. We're not talking about some little fringe movement or some really extremist sort of small group of a few dozen or a few hundred people. We're talking about millions upon millions of young men in America who are receiving this messaging. So firstly, it's the scale of it.
And it's a massive scale. Like I mentioned, the engagement in this video, which is doing like people who've done the research versus a video like the one we just watched called The Wall, from the channel called The Wall, that has millions of views, hundreds of thousands of views after 24 hours, right? It's because these messages are being consumed and received, right? Men are finding, they're finding that they can resonate with some of these messages. All right, let's continue.
Secondly, one of the sources that we interviewed in the piece, Cynthia Miller Idris, just completed a book, and that book looks at the relationship between the manosphere and toxic masculinity and the broader issue of extremist violence. And it shows that almost always when you have sort of young extremists who go out and commit, whether it's shootings or bombings or some other sort of act of mass violence, they have a past, a background in misogyny and in toxic masculinity. So this is really seen among experts in extremism as a breeding ground for other extremists. It's also a entry point. So a lot of young men will find their way to viewpoints like anti-Semitism, like white supremacy through the manosphere. So we took a look at all.
Yeah, and they're said to be a manosphere to right-wing pipeline, right? Where a lot of these Gen Z men are being encouraged to take on this old ideology, right? This old mindset about men and their place and women in their place, based off of starting off with just the manosphere, coming there for relationships issues, or not being able, feeling like you're not relating to women, or you can't get women, right? It's kind of shifted. Let's continue though.
All the issues facing not just young people, but Americans today. And this was really top of our list of what we're concerned about and we think people need to know about. You ended up going to a gym in Fontana, California to find some young men to talk with about your piece. Tell us about someone who stood out to you there. So this young man, Arthur Espinosa, he's a 17-year-old. He lives there in Fontana, and he's an aspiring MMA fighter. And we spent some time with him over a couple of days.
I love to fight.
We listened to a story yesterday. If you all were here, if you haven't catched it, if you haven't caught it, go back and catch the replay. But a young man, just around this guy's age, talks about how he was being brainwashed by the manosphere. And they talk about this fascination that a lot of these guys have with the fascination that they have with these violent sports and violent things, because they believe that those men are acting out ways that they wish they could be, right? They believe masculinity is this machismo, this being strong and physically dominant and violent or whatever. So it's interesting that the idea of MMA and this like UFC raw fighting is how they see manhood.
Always watched these UFC fighters on TV. The first one I've watched was like 2 years ago, and I've been addicted ever since. Before the gym, I really didn't have anywhere to go. I was just home. So me going to the gym, it keeps me busy, and I'm doing something I love, and I love being there.
What did Espinosa tell you about his online influences?
Well, it was really eye-opening. I don't know how much time our viewers spend around teenage boys and young men, and obviously I'm sure there's a vast spectrum, but I don't spend a lot of time around teenage boys. And I didn't realize the extent to which the internet, not just the internet, but particularly online influencers and streaming video have really become a sort of a resource, almost like an encyclopedia or a Wikipedia for young men and how they deal with their emotions and the challenges that they face in everyday life. So what Arthur told me is that if he has a problem or if he has an emotion that he's dealing with, he'll immediately go on TikTok or on Instagram and try and find videos from influencers that he respects and that he looks up to that talk about how to deal with these problems. And that was true among all the young men that we talked to. This is where they go to understand the world and to understand what's going on inside their heads and in their emotions.
As you said, some of these influencers start with self-help and fitness advice, but then introduce more extreme or misogynistic views. Why is that such an effective pipeline?
Basically, who can argue with the idea that you should make your bed in the morning and that you should do some sit-ups and that you should eat healthily and that you should take care of yourself? And these are all pretty much universal truths in the self-help world. And so that's what these men do. They usually sort of appear shirtless on their videos, and they show how kind of buff and strong they are, and they say, hey, you can be like me. And so they introduce it oftentimes in terms of physical fitness or through the martial arts or MMA world. They basically tell people you need to train your body in order to train your mind. So that's the entry point. And I will say an awful lot of influencers out there, that's where they stop. That's what they do. They introduce that, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
But there's all
that's how they're able to get a grip on people's mind, right? They start with giving you very logical, beneficial information about how to just better yourself as a person, right? Nothing related to manhood or anything, right? Get sleep. Wake up, take a shower, make breakfast, plan your meals, exercise, lift weights, drink muscle milk and things like that, right? They'll tell you all of that, right? And that's how they make you feel like, oh yeah, he got great advice. He gives great life advice, right? But then they start sprinkling in the misogyny, right? And for white men in the manosphere, is they start sprinkling that right wing ideology, right? That idea that women belong in the kitchen, right? That women don't deserve to make their own choices, and that they have a biological clock, which is true, right? They definitely can't have children after a certain point, but that women are only as valuable as their biology, right? They start to sprinkle that in with the good messages, and that's the problem. Sorry, guys, this chair needs WD-40, but that's the issue, right? They sprinkle in the harmful messaging with very helpful, good advice that they have. It's not mainly digital culture. It's easy to get on here and say that and keep pushing that so that people don't question these spaces that have these conversations. But it's not digital, right? It's spread into the real world. It's led young men to be more involved in certain violent crimes, right? And that's why it's being studied. That's why it's become important. Joanna, muscle milk, like, drinking those protein drinks that help you build muscle and stuff like that. I see all their BS. It's easy to spot for me. Yeah, it's easy to spot, especially if you've had someone who cared to show you a proper understanding of manhood or womanhood, whatever it is. Especially like men who grew up with real thorough women in their life, right? They have that example. They know what the good and the bad is of having a strong feminine woman. They know that strong feminine woman is going to provide safety and a good environment to learn and to grow. But she's also going to have structure and discipline and rules and consequences, right? That go along with breaking or keeping rules, good and bad. For example, Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson are two big proponents of manosphere thinking, but have vastly different views on the subject. Yeah, but they come from the same place, right? No two people are going to have the exact identical opinion, right? Andrew Tate sees women as objects and things like that. Jordan Peterson wants to convince people that they have to be in Christian unions, right, and stay monogamous with the same partner and raise a family and be good disciplinarians and be good wives, and you know what I'm saying? Like they're both kind of part of the same bird, just different, just different wings. All right, let's continue.
Also, a subset of this that we really put inside the manosphere, and that is these men who go beyond that and start talking about women and start talking about the negative influence of women. They talk about the positive influence of women too, but they also instill in young men these very disturbing ideas about controlling women, about how to sort of get women and how it.
And this is the thing, Conchanery. You can disagree all you want, right? But the reality is that we're seeing an uptick of violence and crime being committed by young, lonely, people who aren't being guided, who are being taught via the internet. Wesley Not, the people who are shooting them are the far-right fascists, or whatever you want to call them. So, I mean, this seems to be a war amongst thieves. My goal is never to get anybody hurt at all. My goal is to have discourse. So, yeah, whatever happened to Charlie Kirk is not my business. Neither is it my responsibility. I think the conservatives should talk to each other about why Charlie Kirk was shot.
It's all about control, and it's all about basically trumping the feminist world that is against them and those sorts of things. So to answer your question, it's a very effective way of drawing people in because it's a non-controversial message.
Andrew Tate is one of the leading figureheads in the manosphere. He's an American-British social media personality and former professional kickboxer, and his extreme views got him expelled from various social media platforms. Recently, he was accused by the right-wing influencer Lauren Southern of assault, which Tate denies. What did the young men you spoke with say about Andrew Tate?
They love him. They think he's the model. They think that he's the guy that they want to be and that they look up to. I mean, I heard that again and again from these young men. They want his lifestyle. They want to be flying around on private jets and smoking Cuban cigars and hanging out with models. I mean, that's the lifestyle that he presents to them, and they pretty much worship him and they all want to be him. They did say that they were
You know, you're right, No Chaser, right? Men can't even control themselves, let alone another person. Yeah, they cannot. Right? The only thing they're capable of doing is influencing somebody in a particular direction. And what we're finding is that they're negative influences. Right? There isn't necessarily many manosphere talking points that can be directly pointed to a crime. Right? But they're being emboldened. They're emboldening people with these messaging, right? With these ideas about women and their place and their role, right? I think the big question is whether young men are really buying into it. They are, right? That's why we are seeing younger men committing crimes, younger men reporting isolation, right? Reporting having no friends.
somewhat concerned or at least turned off by some of the things that he says about women. And they said that they were able to differentiate between his positive messaging and his negative messaging, and that often his negative messaging was, as they put it, was just for views and to wind people up and just for jokes. But overall, they're huge fans.
Well, why do you think so many young men today are turning to influencers on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram for advice on relationships and identity instead of parents or teachers or mentors?
Well, firstly, I mean, some of the men that we talked to were quick to point out that they do have those positive.
So I think this is the issue, and this is why this conversation needs to be had more, because men getting all of their information, having relationships, meeting friends, and getting ideology simply from online is not new. Sorry, is not old, right? It's not a thing of the past. The internet is a very, very new thing, right? And it's easy for men who are not even invested in young men today, right? What young men today doesn't really have a huge impact on them directly every day, and so they don't care, right? It's easy to say this is not new. These men aren't doing anything, right? Until we do see the uptick in violence, right? The uptick in violence, especially through people who are meeting online, right? People who have and report having no healthy friendships and relationships in real life, who have no social outlets, right? This is absolutely new, right? Even the biggest nerd had a table or a group of people or some people that he knew and could associate with. Nowadays, these people are finding friends in people who want to exploit them for money. Right? We already said ourselves that content creators are using some of these people. They're using their insecurities to profit. Right? And those people who are paying and supporting these content creators who are giving them this information are absolutely buying into it. And it would be naive to say that they aren't.
Influences inside the home too, and that they say that that's what allows them to differentiate between joking around and when messaging turns sour and turns wrong. And this is really at the crux of this story and this project, is that these influencers don't just talk to sort of 25-year-olds with healthy home lives and parents they can talk to and friend groups. They also talk to lonely and very influenceable young men, frankly, like Arthur Espinosa, who's 17, who comes from a broken home and lives with his grandparents. These are the places that young men like that go to understand the world and to learn about why they feel the way they do. And more often than not, the messaging that they're getting from these toxic online influencers is, it's not your fault, you have to blame women and you have to kind of control and take power over women. I'm not saying that that is every single person that watches these men. There's an awful lot of young men out there who do have positive role models, who do also take influence from other influencers who aren't as negative about women, but there's a good proportion of young men who don't have those sort of safeguards and don't have those positive male role models, don't have positive female role models in their lives, and who are eating up this advice and this explanation of the world around them and taking it into their adult lives.
You also spoke with people who are actively working to intervene and guide these young men into more positive avenues. Tell us about Jason Wilson and his work.
That's right. We didn't focus on the negative. And so we spent a lot of time researching and talking to people and trying to find out someone who's doing it right, someone who's out there talking about all the positive self-help stuff, about taking care of your body and your mind and being fit and healthy and committed and everything else. And we found Jason, and Jason's an extraordinary man, an organization in Detroit, Michigan, where he trains young men, but doesn't just train them physically. He also works with young men in his community to try and focus them, to try and push them in the right direction in life, to try and make sure that they're getting a good start in life. And by all accounts, he's helped thousands of young men develop their minds, develop their bodies, and step into life with a positive set of attributes that doesn't involve placing blame on women or sort of leaking into misogyny in any way.
Can we talk a little bit about this idea of a crisis among the nation's young men?
I believe we've always been in trouble. We just did a better job at hiding it. It wasn't social media. We didn't have the knowledge of how dangerous it is to repress your emotions. I see with the young men that I serve, we've been doing this now in the union, our nonprofit, for over 22 years. And I've never seen so many boys with a great fear of failure, hyper anxious, even apathy at times. I often tell men and young men that there's no freedom in the facade, and this Superman cape that we've been wearing for decades is now strangling the life out of men.
What's the biggest takeaway you want to leave viewers and listeners with from your investigation?
I think for parents of young men, it's very easy to be overwhelmed by this, and essentially impossible for parents to know what their children are consuming online. It's not really possible. So I think what parents need to do is to make sure that they're talking with their children about these influences. They're talking with their children and at least understanding to some extent who they're watching and what they're listening to, and ensuring that they frankly can get other viewpoints in front of them. So people like Jason Wilson and the other hundreds of positive male influences that are out there. But I think what we heard from the young men was they claimed we can tell the difference between what is a positive message and what is a negative message. And the reason we can do that is because we've learned from our parents and they've told us this. But they said it's young men who don't have that positive influence. So I think the biggest takeaway is parents need to be talking to their children about these issues. They need to be kind of grappling with them, and they need to be pushing back when they hear their sons expressing misogynistic or anti-women or anti-feminist viewpoints. They need to be pushing back on that and really discussing it with them.
Yeah, I think it definitely has to be pushed back against. I think it needs to be challenged. I think new alternatives of thinking need to be offered as well. So definitely.
And just making sure that they're not only hearing one side of the story from some of these men who are making a lot of money, apart from anything else, and gaining a lot of influence with these kind of toxic messages.
It's always good speaking with you, Will. Thank you so much for being on The Excerpt.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. I'm Dana Taylor. I'll see you next time.
You see, Khan Channery, I was perfectly okay with you and your very general understanding, right? But this is not even remotely true, right? This is not remotely true because we never at any point in the past had accurate statistics about the safety, right? And right now we still don't as well, right? A lot of crime is still very underreported. So while it's easy to look around and be like, oh, we have phones, we have access to things that we've never had before, let's just be grateful for this. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't want to improve as a society. And I think that one thing that people don't understand is that technology has exacerbated poor communication skills, right? Poor socialization. So while we've had these machines, these propaganda machines in every portion of our history, what we haven't had was the ability to spread it digitally, widespread, consistently, without the supervision of adults, right? Without any sort of true filter, right? Because really, once you go down a certain rabbit hole, you're going to get all types of information, right? So I think the fact that we have technology makes us have to have a greater responsibility in addressing this, in telling young people what it is, and how to stay safe, and how to recognize a message that is misogynistic and anti-feminist. Right? It's important for us to recognize the differences as generations have gone on and deal with it as it comes, right? Instead of assuming that because our forefathers dealt with things and got over things that we will too. It's giving very Gen X, Conchonry. Very, very Gen X is what it's giving. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. Let's continue. All right. So I want to talk about this bandit who talks about psych hacks. I'm sorry, not who talks about psych hacks. Channel called Psych Hacks, where he talks about many different male-centered subjects. And in this one, he talks about how all men are incels, and that's a bitter truth that women should be grateful about. Now, when I tell you that ideologies and these dangerous talking points and things.
Dr. Orion Terror Band.
Sorry, they start off slow, right? They start off first just sounding kind of edgy. And then next things you know, they're going to have, next thing you know, we have men conceptualizing violence and other things that are very morbid and disturbing. I don't know what you're saying, Conchonry. Again, I'm not going to be grateful for the fact that we've evolved as people. I think as we evolve, we should continue to challenge ourselves to be better people, right? To be better, to offer better to the young people. And I don't think that that's, I think we should keep pushing for more privilege, as you might call it. All right, let's continue.
And this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is all men are incels. Obviously a provocative title, but I do think I can make a strong argument in its defense. Let's get to it. In case you've been living under a rock, incel is short for involuntarily celibate. Basically, an incel is a man who wants to have sex, but can't seem to find a willing participant. While I don't think the term was originally derogatory, it's definitely used as a pejorative.
And mind you, he's a PhD, Lana Love. This is why I have to push back sometimes on PhDs
today,
right? Because just because somebody holds a higher learning credential, right, doesn't mean anything for their mentality. All it proves is that they were focused enough to accomplish something of this magnitude, right? That's definitely something that can be proven. Right? Outside of that, their ideologies and things are not things that can be assumed. Now, he talks about being lonely and not lonely, but being alone and things like that. I'm coming for him. But he talks about being alone and not having a relationship and how, like, it's not desirable nowadays and he's happier by himself and things like that. But notice how he took his opinion and acted like it was factual. Right, this is a PhD, a doctor, a man with a PhD, I believe, either a PhD or some type of higher level master's degree, and I believe he's a therapist. I forget what he talks about. Let me just see here. Yeah, presented by Orion Taraban, who's a PsyD, so he has a doctorate degree in psychology. All right, and he has a clinical practice as well. So that means that he's talking about things that he's seeing, maybe behaviors and mindsets that he's dealing with in men and women, right? And this is how he's coming up with his content. The good thing about working for yourself, having your own business, your own clinical practice, is that outside of the licensing restrictions that you have, you can pretty much get on the internet and say anything, right, within reason.
Especially by women. In fact, it seems as though every man women disagree with these days is either an incel or a misogynist, or both, I suppose. They might not be mutually exclusive. In any case, it's generally not meant as a compliment. Now, leaving aside the wondrous coincidence that the only men who disagree with women happen to be hateful and or unattractive, I must admit that I find the use of this term, incel, absolutely baffling as an insult. And it really only takes a little bit of effort to understand why. While it's clearly the case that some men are more attractive than others, no man who has ever existed has been universally attractive to women at all times. I mean, even Greek mythology is full of stories of gods being turned down by mortal women. And this means that every man, irrespective of how handsome or famous or powerful or charming he might be, has been frustrated in his sexual desire at some point in his life. Even the most successful Casanovas don't bat 1,000 100% of the time. In fact, if there is a single experience that binds together all men of all cultures, it is having one's sexual interest rebuffed. And in that moment, that man is an incel. He wants to have sex, but he doesn't have a willing partner.
So found the first logical fallacy. All right, the first one being that incel is a temporary status. Sorry guys, I'm standing up. I don't know how y'all do 2 hours sitting down on these damn chairs. With your little funky cheeks on them chairs. All right, just stretching for a quick second. But when somebody calls someone an incel, it's not because they got rejected one time and they can't get, that a particular woman that they want, right? When people talk about incels, we're talking about an extended period of time where a man he has no access to women. He has no access to sex. He can't get what he wants out of a woman, right? This is to make it a temporary status, just to make an argument for essentially grape is what he's going to come down to. And for women to be grateful that men aren't just graping them instead of being incels. I mean, that's essentially what this conversation is going to go to, right? I just burst y'all bubble. Most of these men don't deserve women. They don't value or respect women the right way. Exactly. They value them as much as the woman offers something to them that they feel like they can benefit. And they don't see the issue with that. Yeah, he's an idiot, Lana. He's an idiot. He literally made a asinine point just to make an argument for grape. And grape being graceful, that men aren't doing it. It's my option that maniphorism has little to no correlation on influencing young people into becoming social liabilities. Well, you would be opposite of a lot of the research. And again, this is where we have to remember that an opinion is like an asshole, right? Everybody can have one. And it's just that you're entitled to your opinion. But the data, the information, the experts are saying that men are reporting larger numbers of loneliness, and that's leading to a lot of issues. That's leading to a lot of issues. And I think the problem that people aren't understanding is no one is saying that the manosphere is making men go out and delete women. I'm saying that it's leading to bad mindsets, right? And that those mindsets are what generally lead to crimes and things like that. All those men who were associated with red pill channels in the past who went out and committed crime, they're not singular people, right? They're not individuals in this. There's a lot of people who've done that in the past. And it's not because anybody in the video is telling them. It's literally just that at the end of the day, that mindset is influencing them. Parents are not the chief influencers in a young person's life. Again, this is where people have to use their brains. A person just talking, you just speaking, has nothing to do with the reality of how young people are. Right? Young people are way, 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 way more influenced by their peers, by culture, by society than their parents. Your parents' understanding and teaching only goes so far. Especially now you introduce a world. This is where I said technology is compounding the issues that we have. People shouldn't even be worried about dating, economy. The economy is messed up and we have a potential war ahead of us. I agree with that, Robin. I do believe we have lots of issues, but I think the fact that there is low birth rates and people aren't getting married and having families like they were back in the day, that focus, people are having that focus on like not accomplishing what we did before. So that's distracting a lot of people from, all the crazy things that are going on in the news right now. Yeah, exactly. Those mindsets lead to bad behavior, and I think when we sit here and we tell ourselves it's not important to talk about, look, that's what every generation has dealt with. That's why young people fall off the handle, right? There's no guidance. There's no individualized reinforcement and teaching of good behavior. Our main focus should be finding purpose in the world, not finding a mate. Absolutely. Right? If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I'm actually going to bring this up significantly more than I have been in the past, right? Because a lot of people think, right? They think that it's easy to just tell people, this is what you do to have a good life, right? But unfortunately, there are things that are kind of ingrained in us as human beings, right? That have already been the way things have been for a while. All right, do you guys see this hierarchy of needs here? At the bottom, physiological needs, right? You need a clean place to sleep, a roof over your head, food in your belly. Right? Next, you need safety. Next, you need safety. You need a stable job. You need income. You need a place to go exercise. Stability. Right? And then what comes after that? Right? People do have a strong desire for love and belonging. But this isn't just love like romantic love, right? They need family. They need friends. They need a social life. All of that plays into it. Right? This is part of our hierarchy of needs as a human being, that we need to accomplish certain things in our life in order to feel whole. And love is absolutely one of them. So I do think it's a little bit gaslighting when people act like relationships isn't an important part of people's lives. Just like our focus should be finding our purpose in life, which is what self-actualization is, love has a place in our life, right, as a purpose. It doesn't mean we got to go fall in love with Pookie and have his babies, right? No one's saying that, right? I'm simply saying that people have a need for romantic love, for familial love, for friend love. People need that. In various forms, they need love. Right? That's just the reality, unfortunately, of being social beings. What's up, Jesse? How you doing, Bandit? I see you being dusty as usual. Let's continue, though. I'm going to go back to the video here from the guy from Psych Hacks, because we got a little off tracks.
While unattractive men might experience this more frequently, even the most attractive men cannot have sex whenever they want, however they want, with whomever they want. If such a thing is possible, it is a privilege that only beautiful women enjoy. In any case, it doesn't take a genius to understand that when a man's sexual interest is rebuffed, there are really only two possible outcomes. Either the man is going to be, at least with respect to that relationship, involuntarily celibate, or the woman is going to be, shall we say, involuntarily sexual. Like, those are the only two options. And I think we're all going to agree that the first outcome is preferable to the second.
Wow. So basically, women should call men incels because men being incels is them choosing not to grape you. Right? And we should be appreciative of that instead of calling them incels. This is different. This is different.
Given this understanding, I can't wrap my head around the impulse to denigrate those who choose to uphold the first option. Like it or not, when a man is involuntarily celibate, what is he necessarily doing? Well, among other things, he is acknowledging the right of a woman to consent to sex, and he is respecting the foundations of civil society. He is choosing to frustrate his will rather than impose it on another. And we're like collectively agreeing that that is something to be mocked and derided? Because that is the real difference between men. The distinction does not come down to those who are...
I do think that he is a repulsive bandit to have even come up with this ideology in the first place. That's what I will say. Right? Oh, we should not be mocking men who cannot get women to want to be with them. We should be thanking them. We should be thanking them for not harming women. Right? And he puts a comment in this chat and he reiterates it, but it's like, this came out of your mouth in the first place. Now that it's been said, there's no way to take that back.
Buffed and those who aren't. As I've already said, the latter class of men don't exist. But to those who are governed by law and human decency, and those who aren't. Like, if there has ever been a man who has never been an incel, it was probably Genghis Khan. And that's not because no woman ever told him no. I'll say that again in a slightly different way. The reason Genghis Khan might not have been an incel was not because women found him universally attractive. It's because he didn't take no for an answer. Let that sink in. If you appreciate the insights on this...
So, I see what you're trying to say, Kanchanri. But again, I don't think that your argument makes any sense. Because I think what you're trying, you're basically telling me that I should be dismissive of the impact that social media has because the president is more influential over young people. First of all, I don't even think that. I do believe that Andrew Tate is way more influential in tilting men towards misogyny than Donald Trump. Absolutely, right? Because he's on social media. More men are going to be engaged with social media than they are with politics. Right? Some people don't even know what the president's purpose is. They don't even know what the purviews and powers of the president are, much less care how he feels about women. That last statement was dangerous. Yeah, I mean, it's just... And he's a PsyD. This is what really gets me. This is a psychologist. And he's batshit crazy, and his name is Psychax. No way this is a functional, healthy male who's literally making the argument that when men don't grape people, that's them doing people a favor. Let's continue. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm over here.
Channel, I would highly encourage you to get your hands on a copy of my book, The Value of Intimacy in the Game. Get to anything. But disparaging those who choose not to violate others is very, very stupid. And this is a choice. This isn't a topic that's very comfortable to discuss, but it is one that we benefit from remembering from time to time. You may have heard that women are the gatekeepers of sex. I've said it myself on this channel. However, the part that isn't often said is that women are the gatekeepers of sex by convention. Women are not naturally endowed with that privilege. It is not in their nature or in their biology to unilaterally prevent sex from occurring in the event that they don't want it. If it were, then non-consensual sex literally wouldn't be possible. From a physical perspective,
what?
a woman's...
This is where I'm saying, like, they start going down one rabbit hole, and then next thing you know, they are going head first down a tunnel of rabbit holes. Why are you justifying? Why are you even trying to have this conversation right now is what I want to know. Let's talk about why men don't rape women. Because they're incels. I mean, what is this dude talking about?
Body, like any person's body, is, as Epictetus would say, subject to a superior force. And when it comes to physical force, the average man is more powerful than the average woman. All of this is to say that women are not the gatekeepers of sex by nature. They are the gatekeepers of sex by convention. They are the gatekeepers of sex because we've gotten together as a society by creating a structure of order and establishing a system of laws. And the basis of this social contract is fundamentally the voluntary surrender of certain natural rights in return for protection against those same rights being enacted against us. This is Hobbes's Leviathan, and it is the only legitimate basis of civil society. And we've agreed that no woman should be made to have sex against her will because, I suppose, among other things, we wouldn't enjoy the same experience being foisted upon us. So when someone in possession of superior...
That is crazy. That is insane. And his channel name is Psych Hacks. Imagine your boyfriend going to this fucking therapist. I'm sure this man has single-handedly ended several marriages and relationships because he's bitter. And he looks like a fucking warlock too. Yeah. Let's keep listening to this ideology, where he's trying to take us with this. I want to know what he's saying too, Joanne. I don't know what he's trying to say here. Is he trying to say women should be grateful for incels? We should be happy that incels exist? That society decided to stop raping women because they didn't want to be raped? This dude's a sicko.
Your natural force is frustrated in his desire and chooses to abide in the frustration of his will instead of forcing his will on another, then congratulations, we have civilization, okay? He may not like it in the moment, but he is choosing to respect the law.
He's real mad. Wow, these men are mad that they can't just go and take coochie now. Wow. He said it's part of civilization. Wow.
And the woman's right to choose, which is what we want him to do. But rather than praise his restraint or sympathize with his frustration or, I don't know, simply pass over the situation without comment, we've somehow agreed that this man is a creepy loser? Like, make it make sense, people. Listen to me very carefully. If there is a recipe for making someone villainous, it is precisely this. Punish him for doing the right thing. And that's precisely what we're doing when we mock these men. I do not advise disparaging people for following the law and respecting the rights of others. Like, we don't have to celebrate these people just for following the law, but insulting them for doing so is the height of stupidity. Like, imagine a businessman who sells luxury goods, insulting a crowd of people standing out front of his store for being too poor to buy his products. Ha! You pathetic losers! You'll never be able to afford anything nice. Like, how do you think that would go over? Now, I don't think people should steal. I don't think people...
We are not the ones calling you guys incels. You guys call yourself incels, right? That was literally a created term where men identify with the fact that they are not allowed or are not given. Oh Lord. Lana Love, exactly. I try to avoid it at all costs. I don't want to talk about incels, right? But the reason why we have to is because they're so angry and they're always mad, right? They're always talking about what women are doing with their bodies and the freedoms that women have, and women this and women that, and women. You guys remember when he said, "Oh, some people can talk about is women." That's all these people do. They're fixated on women. Joshua, you know what's so? He's a PsyD. This is a clinical psychologist, or at least he has a clinical practice. That's what it says. I mean, this is baffling that this is what's coming out of his mouth, honestly.
Should riot. But I think we can all agree that that man is either absolutely oblivious or tempting fate in a very foolish way. It's kind of like Marie Antoinette saying, well, let them eat cake. And we all know how that ended up for her. Again, all men are incels at some point. It's not just the unattractive ones. Like, look at the media. Every day, it seems as though another rich and famous and handsome and powerful man is accused of non-consensual sex.
Is he talking about Diddy? Is Diddy handsome to him? Is Diddy handsome? He's more than likely an incel that's projecting his own trauma. Yeah, he definitely is, Robin. I think he's wanted access to women that he doesn't have access to. Because I've heard him specifically talk about and say, oh, what would he say? I'm a successful man making six figures and I can't get a date on Friday night. And I don't think these men don't understand. I don't think these men understand that maybe you're just not pleasant. Maybe no women want to be around you. Maybe you have a funky ass attitude and that's why you can't get women. Right? I would say the same thing to a woman if she told me, oh, men aren't attracted to me. They don't want me. I'm going on dating websites. I'm meeting people and none of them want to deal with me at all. I would question her too. I'd be like, honey, what's going on? Like, tell me more about your day to day. What do you do? Oh, I sit at home all day on my computer, play video games and talk shit and do nothing. I would say the same thing. Joshua, they see what they want to see in him. Yeah, he's a dummy. He's definitely, this guy would have been front and center for a Diddy freak off any day of the week. Yeah. That's why he's over here saying, oh yeah, look at these celebrities. These rich and successful, handsome men are being accused by women too. They're also being rejected. Da da da. He's trying to cope. This is him saying, well, I'm not ugly, so women are rejecting me because they're just rejecting men. It's not me. Yeah. It's this rhetoric, I'm telling you. And you know what's crazy? I wonder who he listened to that made him feel like this, because this man went all the way and got his PsyD just to be a toxic, misogynistic male like they've always been. I shouldn't be surprised, actually. If I hear red pill talking points, you're blocked immediately. Yeah, absolutely. I shared a video with someone that I was, a friend that I was talking to at one point, and I was like, "Oh, look at this!" And the response that they sent me, I was like, "Oh, I was gonna drag the person in this video. You said they're hilarious. Okay, block." It's a whole mindset that goes along with it. Joanne said some people have long periods of being single. Nothing wrong with that. Also, there are backdoor methods, to relieving celibacy. Joanne, that's funny. All right, let's continue.
It's likely because he felt his status entitled him to sex, and he believed he could violate the social construct without consequence. Women can and absolutely do turn down attractive men as well. But insulting the men who abide in that frustration instead of imposing their will on women is as stupid as it is tasteless.
Wow,
That's my
Can we order a psychological evaluation, because that last sentence disturbed me. Let's rewind for a second.
active men as well. But insulting the men who abide in that frustration instead of imposing their will on women is as stupid as it is tasteless. That's my take. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.
I don't even have to go into the comment section. I think you need medication. And I think you need to learn how to regulate your emotions so that you can stop lashing out on the women that you try to date. I think that's probably what's happening. Yeah, he wants us to thank him for not raping women. I'm not going to thank you for that, sir. I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself. That's what I'm going to tell you to do. You see, this is why I don't want to be approached in public, because I am too mean for this type. I will absolutely cause this type to go and shoot up a store. I will be the cause of that. How I talk to him, what I say, he'll be like, you know what, this damn hoe. This hoe, no, I'm done. I'm done. He might be a troll, but to me, he sounds like one of these Manosphere dudes that's just a cornball, like doesn't understand why women don't like him. He thinks because he got money, a job, a car, a house, that he's just the most desirable man in the world, but he got a funky attitude. Kush Wizard said, modern women always complain about not finding good men. When they find good men, they want to dump them. Oh, really? Is that what women do with good men? Is throw them away like trash? Okay. I'm also confused what his point is.
Oh, and please send this episode to someone who you think might benefit from its message, as it's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow.
Wow.
Other value props.
I won't refer you to anybody. I will suggest that any functional male who wants a healthy relationship with the opposite sex not listen to a goddamn thing that he said. All right, now let's listen to another self-described incel. All right. Oh, sorry guys, I was trying to click the right one. Incel testimony. Let me do.
I learned a very cruel lesson about my place in the dating world. And I was at school, I was young at the time, and there was this girl who I had a big crush on. And I was trying to pluck up the courage to go and say something to her. And I remember walking over to her at lunchtime one time and saw her in the playground. And I was already so nervous, but I was so alone, and I tried to psych myself up to go say hi. And when I saw her, my heart just stopped, because she was already flirting with a guy who bullied me. And I could never understand why the girls that I liked the boys who were mean to me. Like, the girls I liked the guys who were mean to me. And I just felt stupid. I never went and said it, I never said it to this day. I just stayed silent about it. And the cruel thing about getting rejections as a guy, I don't know if you guys relate to this, but the fucked up part is that the next girl you get a crush on, you fall even more for her. The next girl that shows 1 ounce of kindness to you, you fall even more for her.
I'm just gonna say, I don't know why this young man is choosing to label himself. Hey, Eclectic Tarot, happy Sunday. I don't know why he's choosing to name himself from the perspective of an incel. It's obvious that he wants to find love. And this is where I think sometimes this is an attitude issue as well too, right? If your attitude is not that of a confident man who believes that he deserves a woman, a good woman who loves him, who's going to take care of him, and he's going to take care of her and all that. Like, I believe there's a mentality as well that keeps this as well. But let's keep listening because I don't know what the hell he saw. It just sounded like whining. I'm not gonna lie, no chaser. All I heard is sad music, him saying like, "Oh, I just fall deeper in love with the next woman because I didn't fall. This woman didn't fall in love with me, and I was so sad." It's like, what is he talk? What are you talking about? A woman isn't going to want you if you're not radiating confidence and love for yourself. Who knows? Listen, let's continue though.
And you build your hopes up because the last time it got crushed. So there was another girl, and I had a big crush on her as well. This was a couple of years later, and I noticed that I was a skinny, small nerd in school, and one of my friends was some athletic guy, and she would always compliment him and stuff like that. And I remember one time she was complimenting how slim he was, and I was like some skinny Indian kid, and I was like, "Oh, look how slim I am," and she was like, "Nah, no, you're not slim, you're skinny," and I was just like, I didn't even fucking get the difference, but that was me learning my place in the world of dating. I was skinny. He was...
You see, and this is the thing, Eclectic Tarot, everyone wants to discount what some of these young people are saying, but these type of streamers do very well. Look, he got 3,000 subs, 10,000 views. This is a long form content video. He's just sharing his opinion. And this is how a lot of young men are feeling about dating, about relationships, about finding someone. I mean, how is it that you get rejected, and because of that rejection, you fall deeper in love with the next woman? It's just dysfunction. It's dysfunctional.
That shit fucking crushed me. And so many rejections like that just happened, and then I remember one day in 2015 or 2016, and I was on Reddit, and I saw a post from a guy. I was stalking his profile, and he'd made a post somewhere, and the post was titled, "Every pathetic attempt at escaping the incel life," or something like that. But I remember it was every pathetic attempt at escaping incel life. And I thought, I've done a bunch of pathetic attempts to... I just feel pathetic in general, so I was intrigued, so I clicked on it. And inside was his experiences talking about... It felt like I was him. He talked about all these, techniques he'd used and tried to be kind and confident and give gifts, and how none of it was working, and he, was taking regular showers and, had started doing push-ups at home and, still was just alone. And I was reading down it, and I couldn't believe how much I related to it. And the post was made to this subreddit called the Incels subreddit, which I'd never heard of. I didn't even know what that was. But I clicked on it, and there was this whole community of guys like me who were just rejects. And as a guy, you probably understand this. It's not like, if you get rejected from a girl, a lot of the times you'll say to your mates, "Oh no, I just wasn't that into her," or she was ugly anyway. It's hard to talk about being rejected as a guy. It's shameful, it's embarrassing. And this was a community of guys who, it was anonymous obviously, but they were documenting their experiences of being rejected, and
and it's very true. These incel channels are massive. I'm telling you, this person who has 3,000 subs and sharing his confessional in 6 months might be a million subs, million view streamer, right? A million view YouTuber, I should say, because not everyone on YouTube streams per se. Because this is a very relatable mindset for young men nowadays. Now, I highlighted Eclectic Tarot's comment. She said, part of the problem is that some cultures raise their boys to think that whatever they want, they're supposed to get. Some of these parents don't tell their boys no. Many love boys and raise girls. Yeah, it's exactly how it is, right? It's that teaching of that entitlement. Yeah, Fresh and Fit was definitely catering to some of those rejected males. Yep, absolutely. This is why they can't handle rejection. Absolutely. And you have like a group of men who has never experienced the socialization of just being a part of communities and going outside and interacting with the other gender and getting the interaction, getting the whatever the back and forth is, and that process of getting to know women and wanting a woman's essence in your life that comes from that. They've never experienced it. So they're looking for getting love in the way that they want to, and when women don't give it to them, and they don't have access to the same essence of women that men had in the past, they get very angry. Joshua, people gravitate to what they can relate to the most. Yeah, I just can't endure channels where men congregate to whine about rejection and failure. Yeah, because it's not a healthy place. But what I'm telling you is, you can still refer back to when you were young and you were getting to know women and you were around women and girls and stuff like that when you were a young boy, young man as well, right? You can still relate to being outside and having to interact. Versus a lot of these young kids don't have none of that to refer to. All they have is the internet. That's the only way they've ever learned to emote, to meet people, to interact with people, to display themselves, to show their personality. It's only ever been online. And so that's why these spaces have more power today, because people don't have that. They don't have that old archive of like, oh, when I was a kid, we used to, or when I was a teenager, we used to be outside and we couldn't come back until the lights outside came on because our parents wanted us to be outside interacting with other kids. Like, it's not the same. No, Chasey said girls had cooties, remember? I mean, we're talking about when boys and girls used to actually be around each other and play with other boys and girls and talk to and learn each other and be friends and laugh and dislike and have girl versus boy wars. Like, all of that used to be a thing, where now all of these interactions kind of gone online. It's not necessarily just the parents, right? It's easy to blame parents, but I think that's very one-dimensional. The realist said they need to get offline and take the ad outside. They sure do. They sure do. It's just, how do we take people off of the internet where they're listening to these vlogs from incels? How do we take them off of that and put them in an environment where now they have to socialize, talk to, be around, get to know people that they're afraid of? Because they're afraid of women. That's why they're online asking about it, trying to get information, trying to get the upper hand in these interactions with women. Like I said, these incel channels, since they can't get the women they want, but they get the love from their content, so they keep making it. Yeah, some of these incels, yeah, that's maybe the first time they're feeling admiration, love. That's so true. So true. Let's keep listening, though.
I don't know why it was so validating to read these experiences of guys like me. I don't know why I liked it so. I guess it made me feel less alone. It made me feel less alone that I wasn't just some fucking freak, and that I was just struggling. And there was other people struggling like me. Yeah, it was a validating place, and it was like a hit, and I would go back there every single day and like read the new posts and new comments. And occasionally you would see people who would not talk about their experiences and like blame themselves for being rejected, but they would blame other people, but it was a minority of the group, so you kind of ignored it. And I remember one time I saw a post from this guy. It sounds cringe to say, but you had flares and stuff on the Reddit, and his was balding manlet, which basically means that he was going bald, losing his hairline, and that he was below like 5'5" or 5'6". And he talked about his journey to getting a girlfriend. And when I saw that post, I felt hope. I couldn't.
You know what? You're so right, Eclectic Tarot. For some of these channels, it's not just about money, right? There is a symbiotic emotional need that's being met for some of these guys. You are so right. Like, it's funny that you clocked that right before you said it. Um, some people cannot cope with their loneliness. Yeah, I do believe some of these incel content creators, the reason why they're able to connect to some of these people is because of the deep sadness, the deep depression, the deep loneliness that they feel, right? That deep sorrow is relatable to some people, right? And so I think they're able to exploit that, but they're also getting an emotional benefit from being able to tap into that, from feeling seen, from feeling similar to another group of men finally, right? And so they build community in these bad spaces. I stay away from these spaces, but I feel like they can have they but I feel like they can have channels. I don't like policing what people do because I'm gonna do and say what I want. I think as long as it doesn't become violent, they have the right to have channels. Yeah, I'm not. No one's saying they should take away their channels. I'm just saying I think the problem is that young people who don't really have the ability to a make a difference of what's true and what's not, what's healthy and what's not that they should be consuming online, that's the problem. We have a lot of young people consuming this. Now I agree with Lana Love that maybe they shouldn't have access to the internet. Maybe until they're 25, until our brains are fully developed, we should not have access to the internet. I agree with that. I don't know if I would like that, but I agree with that because it seems like people just can't control their impulses and they're being introduced with too much information they don't understand. He just said it was his new hit. Yeah, I wasn't even like catching what he was really saying like that. You know, you have to really think about what he's saying in terms of a new hit. How he's talking about he's getting something from this interaction emotionally, without saying it in so many words. Getting a girl is more than just intimacy. Do they have a clue that a relationship involves more levels of communication? Well, you have some of these guys who want to teach these young men online that it's all about just being pickup artists and getting sex and using women for their bodies. Parents think they are guilty of cruel and unusual punishment by taking online devices away from kids. They sure do, and they're not to. They're not to take away those devices. I just think a lot of people believe it's normal and we're just caught in it. Yeah, it's a deep form of trauma bonding, no chaser. It's so true. And the fact that you have the creator who's able to tap into these people's needs and the people engaging in this like emotional exchange when they listen and fester in these environments, yeah, it absolutely is trauma bonding in lack of emotional intelligence. Yep. Adults have to practice their own discipline and decide not to watch channels that they don't align with. Absolutely. We're talking about adults here. But if you put it on young people who, again, their minds are not fully there yet. I've been on some of these channels before in the past when I was trolling a lot of these male channels. There would be like 16 and 15-year-olds. And like that was why sometimes I felt the need to like hop out and say crazy stuff. It's like why would a 15 or 16 or 17-year-old be listening to some of these conversations that these men online are having about relationships? They should not. And then they'll be like, "Oh, I don't have a father. I don't have son." I'm like, "Oh my, you definitely should not." Like somebody go and take his internet. Like I said, also I have heard from some men that for men, part of manhood is being able to get a girlfriend and get sex. Yeah, that's how they value. That's their values. These are things that men do that impact each other, right? A lot of the times people think that the reason why men are so sad and don't deal with their mental health is because of women. A lot of it is their cultural ideals, right? Is that they don't want to address mental health. They don't want to give men a space to cry, to be sad, to be depressed, to be anxious, to have mental health issues, right? They just want to shame men. And that's what other men are doing. It's not men, it's not women coming in and doing that. What are you singing a song for it? That just threw me off. Let's continue though.
Because I was still single at this time and I'd had fucking a million attempts and none of them had worked. And so I was reading through this post, and he was talking about how valued it made him feel and all the steps he took. And this was the first flag that something was wrong. This group, they didn't like... They responded negatively to this post. They called him a liar. They said he was a fake self, in the sense that he wasn't truly like the rest of us. He must have just been faking it. Or when 2 months prior, this balding manlet, if he had made a post talking about wanting to get a girlfriend, they would have told him, don't try. They would have told him, don't even bother trying. And then after he tried and got one, they said, oh no, you were never like us anyway. Like, it was definitely, I started to see like there's something self-defeating about this. If you're never able to like course correct, and anyone that does learn something, you just say they weren't a part of the group, you're kind of destined to go down a bad path. And the group did go down a bad path. Like, it did get more malicious. Like, and obviously it turned into what you guys probably know incels as now, which is just hating women. It got more malicious. You know, I'd see comments, I'll read them out, it was bad stuff, you know, I'd see stuff that was saying, to be honest, it's either incel or son for me. I'd never have a girl. Not in this world. A girl would probably find excuses to hate her father in that situation and use feminism as validation. And really, that's not good enough for future boys and men, in my opinion. Unacceptable. I don't care any woman's reasons for hating us. And then you get some people who are just being straight hateful, and they say women deserve much worse than loneliness, to be honest. And then people would respond to that saying women aren't lonely enough. And it's not like when they made these posts they got downvoted. This posts got upvoted because you know, people like...
I see. He's exposing the other incels. Wow. And this is Reddit, no surprise, right? This is why black folk don't be on Reddit. If they're normal, at least. Okay? I'm just saying. Just saying. But yeah, same. Right? Robin said I was even outside in high school parties and movies. This is why I say the way people are living right now is so different. My first year of my first year of college, I ran into my sibling who was also in college at a party. Random party. He didn't even know I was there. My phone was in my purse most of the night. No selfies and none of that. Yeah, of course, some people were all on their phones at that time. But I had met dozens of people my first year of college, just being outside, being at events, being in a program that I was at my college. But now as an adult, like a lot of other people, we're addicted to social media. That's where people are going for relationships. So people are going for relationship advice, manhood advice, right? Some men are coming to these men online to tell them how to pick up women, how to get intercourse, how to get relationships. You know, and for this guy, it was to be seen and understood as an incel.
Like me, once they saw how weird the group was getting, they left. So the people who just started because they were sad or lonely, they would leave after this hateful stuff started to arise, and the only people that stayed are the people that supported this stuff. And I kind of had an aha moment, which is that those comments, this is what prompted me to make this video. Those comments were made not by men, not from incels. Those comments were made from women in a subreddit called the 4B movement, which maybe you've never heard of it, maybe you have, and it's about women basically separating themselves from men and just decentering men completely and removing them from their lives. So no brothers, no husbands, no...
Wait a minute. How did this little incel get on the 4B movement? That's what I want to know, sir. Why are you talking about the 4B movement? Right, and this is his little twist. I'm confused how he got on there. Let's bring it back a little bit because I obviously wasn't paying attention. Right, so I'm gonna go back because he obviously is an incel. Balding manlet. His titlings is crazy.
Incels as now, which is just hating women, it got more malicious. I'd see comments, I'll read them out. It was bad stuff, I'd see stuff that was saying, to be honest, it's either incel or son for me. I'd never have a girl. Not in this world. A girl would probably find excuses to hate her father in that situation and use feminism as validation. And really, that's not good enough for future boys and men, in my opinion. Unacceptable. I don't care any woman's reasons for hating us. And then you get some people who are just being straight hateful and they say, women deserve much worse than loneliness, to be honest. And they respond to that saying, women aren't lonely enough. And it's not like when they made these posts, they got downvoted. This posts got upvoted because, people like me, once they saw how weird the group was getting, they left. So the people who just started because they were sad or lonely, they would leave after this hateful stuff started to arise, and the only people that stayed are the people that supported this stuff. And I kind of had a moment, which is that those comments, this is what prompted me to make this video. Those comments were made not by men, not from incels. Those comments were made from women in a subreddit called the 4B movement, which maybe you've never heard of it, maybe you have, and it's about women basically separating themselves from men and just decentering men completely and removing them from their lives. So no brothers, no husbands, no boyfriends, etc., stuff like that. And I was so shocked to see women writing this stuff. And I was thinking, why is this shocking to me? And why does my brain jump to empathy when a woman does it, but when a dude does it, I just think of him being some fucking weirdo creep? Like, there's something that's not adding up here. This is when I kind of realised that this is not an incel issue or a 4B or a woman or a man issue. This is just what happens anytime there is a group of people who are dejected from society and not shown empathy. When we decide that because they're too hurt or too weird or too hateful, we decide that we should stop attempting to view life from their perspective and trying to figure out how they may have got there, and we just start being mean to them. Everyone knows this at the lunch table or whatever. There's certain groups of people who it's just okay to be mean to. Everybody knows it. Everyone went to school. Everyone knows the quiet kids always got.
No, I don't think so, right? I think this man has completely internalized. First of all, 4B, if y'all are going around telling these bandits in subreddit chats and shit that you don't want to be with them and that you hate men, you got something wrong with you. First of all, you should not be in these spaces talking to these men, especially in a disparaging way. You're still giving them attention. Just ignore them if that's what you want to do. If you don't want to deal with these dusty males, that's perfectly fine. But ignore them. Do not go to their subreddit tweets and tell them, hey, incels, we hate you, ugly, dusty bandits. Don't do that. They're getting so angry at women as though... so angry at the young women as if they plans to reject them purposely. I don't even think that's the case. I think they just rub a lot of women the wrong way. And they don't get it. Both incels and femcels be mad at anything. Femcels are not a real thing. That's just one random mentally ill chick online. And she wasn't a femcel herself, because they define a femcel as a woman not getting the relationship she wants. So a man not getting the relationship he wants is a incel? Like, those aren't similar things. I just think that's a weird fake term that people are trying to create. Many men do not see other men as community. Many of them only see women for romantic and sexual value, and not as community, friends, fellow hobbyists, etc. Yeah, they have this very corn way of viewing women. Yeah, femcels are not a thing, Robin. And they're fake terminology that mentally ill, male-centered woman who moved across the world to live. No, she didn't move. She lives with. She had a male roommate who I think was in love with her, and she was telling him that she wanted to move across the country to live with some man she met online. Like that was the one person online who called herself a femcel. There's probably more now because they realize it gets viral, but no. Any woman that wants and makes herself available to a man can get a man. Exactly. The easiest thing to get is a male. I've been investigating the red pill to understand them since I was 20. I gave up 5 years in. I understand they are lonely, but they need therapy or someone who can help them gain internal confidence. If you don't want to be confident and loving and a partner and a good man, you're not going to be. And I think some of these men want to fester in their incelhood. Like, look at him talking about how, it was okay to bully people. No, who told you that? Where are your parents? Why didn't they take you to therapy? Because your understanding is just not right. There's something wrong here. We have something distorted in our brain to making it slow and always thinking about, I
Made fun of,
guess.
and no one fucking ever said anything. I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying this is what happens. And luckily in my case, there was kernels of truth in both of these subreddits about which are healthy. You know, in the 4B movement, it's about telling women basically to not place such a ridiculous emphasis on validation from guys, which is healthy. And in the incel subreddit, it's about personal accountability and working out and finding a sense of self so you can come across as authentic when you're trying to speak to girls. I followed this stuff, and I honestly got lucky. I got lucky and got a girlfriend, and it was luck. And I think people underestimate the role that luck sometimes plays in life. You know, I can sit here and say, oh, you know, I started to go to the gym and that's why I got a girlfriend. It was honestly, I was still skinny as fuck at the time. Even though I was lifting, I was still skinny as fuck. I wasn't in good shape. I was just in the right place at the right time. And she softened me because I would show her.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting because these men online, when they get mad and they see these 4B comments, they don't understand that, like, the function of why women are saying to stop dating and being with men is because of the violence. You know, the children being deleted and things like that, the lack of rights that women have there, right? It's a response to misogyny. They just completely ignore that part. It's not about just hating men. For them, it's just about hating women for not giving their bodies to them. I still have empathy for them. It is a mental issue, even though it is downplayed. I have empathy too. I just still, at the end of the day, feel like this is the responsibility of these type of people to deal with. They don't have to come out here and try to make all women an issue because they have had struggles or issues. You know, I just don't think it's fair. Femcel is more about not getting the right man, not just any man. Incel is more about not getting a woman at all, let alone a good one. No, incel is about access to sex, right? Involuntarily celibate. The women they want to sleep with and be with don't want to sleep with and be with them. So no, we're not going to turn femcel of, oh, not getting the right man is the opposite. No, there's no such thing. Imagine listening to him talk. Oh my God, yeah. Involuntarily celibate. The right man has nothing to do with being an incel or femcel. Yeah, they keep trying to change it to fit like some new perspective. No, incel is what it is. And men said it's because they're involuntarily celibate. I hope so too. But seeing how this guy is processing it, I don't know.
Incel subreddit. I would show her the subreddit, and she didn't like the humor aspect of it at all, of course, because she's empathizing with the women who are also lonely or feeling used for their bodies and whatever. But she empathized with the guys. And she showed kindness. And she just said she didn't realize how bad it was. She had a brother. And she just didn't realize how much men were often suffering in silence. And I told her that I kind of lied to her when I met her. I lied about how confident I was. I put up a front, and that I was so nervous around girls, and she felt sorry for me, and she showed me compassion, and And it softened me, and I'm just so grateful because when someone does actually reach out to you, when you're part of this, like, and I was leaving the normal group of society, I was already a weirdo. When you're starting to drift away from the normal group of society and someone throws you a life raft, it fucking restores your faith in humanity. And she did that for me. And when someone restores your faith in humanity, you stop finding humour in the jokes that will happen as part of these groups. It's bullying, really. And obviously I understand from one perspective how it's funny. Like, I'll see stuff on the 4B movement. One of the posts said, touching myself to the thoughts of the male loneliness epidemic or something like that. Or saw something that was like, you know, if I have a girl, I'll look after it, but if it's a boy, I'm just ditching it at the fire station, or you know, fucking putting up.
Yo, that's funny. See, this is where when men say women aren't funny, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about that humor that cuts deep. That was funny. I'm not gonna lie. They make fun of each other for getting the help they need. They need to change that among their fellow man. I agree. Right? They talk about, women are the main ones to get antidepressants and say that they're depressed and anxious. Yeah, because they actually go to the doctor. They actually go to therapy. Women are also the first ones to find out about an STI infection, right? Is women go to the doctor. Men do not. They wait till there's a problem or a burn. Right? If we're being realistic, they need to encourage each other to go out and seek the treatment that they need. It's not so funny anymore. Nothing is funny about what's going on. What these men are spouting is not funny, and they keep doing it to each other. They keep feeding each other this sick mindset instead of trying to evolve. And they don't understand why women don't want to be with them. Why women find it hilarious that men think that women will want to be with them, considering the mindsets and ideals that they have. Well, actually, the incel can get laid, but do you think that the incel wants Big Bertha? Do you think that the incel would sleep with Norbit? Or Respucia, I should say. Men think if they ignore something long enough, it will go away. Yeah, that's definitely male math. Man math. Man math is if you ignore it long enough, it will go away. Or it'll stop existing.
For adoption or something. Like, I can understand how someone finds this funny. Because, you know, maybe they've been hurt so much by guys, but I don't think you can find this funny if you're connecting to the pain of the loneliness that guys feel. Only if you segregate yourself from that, then I get how you could find it funny. And, you know, I'm not saying that the person who posted that, maybe they're too far gone, but the post had like 2,000 likes, and if those 2,000 people connected to the loneliness that guys felt, would they have liked it? Some of them, but not all of them. Like, a lot less of them would have found it funny because it's just punching down on lonely guys. Like obviously I get the humor in it, but it is bullying. Yeah. Empathy is about being able to see life through someone else's experiences, no matter if they're different gender, sex, height, speak a different language. Like, can you see how they've come to the conclusions they've come to by living life through their perspective? And when you can understand how someone concluded what they concluded, you connect a lot more to their pain, and it becomes less funny to just bully them for being weird or down. And I'm going to show you how you empathize with incels. But I'm going to be sneaky, and because, honestly, usually guys get less empathy in general. I don't know why that's the case. That's just how life seems to work. I'm gonna do.
I don't agree with that, right? I'll give you a very good example of that, right? Think about the Black Lives Matter movement, right? The center of that movement was the unjust deletion of men, right? Black men. Oh, no worries, Joanne. I figured it was an accident. But sometimes I do have people like have contention with each other, and then they'll be like, screw this person. So I didn't know if it was that, but I just wanted to make sure. So I understand sometimes things happen. I've also abused wrenches myself, so I just wanted to make sure it wasn't anything. And since 7 tends to piss everybody off, including myself, so sometimes you'll see me time her out. But this time I was just making sure it wasn't nothing, because at first it was the deleted comment, and then I saw the hide, and I was like, "Oh no, what's going on?" All right, so I'm not surprised the statement he's making. I hear constantly. Is Big Bertha really going for it like that? Would she be interested in incel? Yes, Big Bertha just wants to be touched. When Big Bertha enters the room, somebody got to take one for the team. Wow, the realist, that's crazy. Let's
from
continue.
a woman's perspective. So all you need to do is follow these steps, and if you follow them and you can see how someone could have done them, then you are empathizing. So step 1 is that a woman is in a relationship and the guy's just mean to her. He calls her ugly, or maybe calls her fat. Every guy knows someone like this. He's just a dick. And then she finds a community of women who share these stories. And then suddenly she doesn't have to feel ugly or worthless or useless. She can feel normal because there's other women saying, don't worry, I'm going through the same thing. Of course she's going to, like going there and feel validated from that, place. And then obviously, just like in schools, we know that groups always make fun of people that are not part of their groups. When you get the popular people, they'll make fun of the nerds in the school. That will always happen, and the nerds will talk about how basic and normie the popular people are. It just always happens. So
Oh, sorry, I think I got distracted when I was talking about this. But yeah, the Black Lives Matter movement, right? They focus on black men, right? But then you have the crisis that's going on with black femicide, the deletion of black girls and women, right? Very high rates, 6 times more likely than other groups, more likely than anybody to be deleted, almost as likely to be deleted as black men. And we know black men have a high rate of deletion. All right, let's continue.
then this woman starts to make jokes about guys and how pathetic they are and how worthless they are, how unneeded they are. And then she gets validated from that. They don't flame her, they support her, and suddenly she feels good. All her friends are running off in relationships and more normal, and she's getting validation from being mean in this way. And then the last step is, when she starts to get validation from that, what do you think she's gonna then do more of? It's not like she's getting it from relationships, she's never had success there. She's gonna keep doubling down and making jokes at the expense of guys.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Grammar school, high school, like remember from high school, or a woman who rejected them in high school. I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't get this. One-sided opinions are so interesting, I know. This reminds me of when Jordan Peterson was telling women they needed to sympathize with these lonely men. Everyone goes through some type of bullying at some point, unfortunately. It doesn't matter what you look like or what sex you are. Exactly. Women go through it too. Women go through it when they're going through puberty quicker than other people, and their body looks awkward, and their shape is taller and bigger than everyone, right? Let's continue.
And that is exactly what happened in the case of when they're talking about guys deserving more loneliness. And it's exactly what happened in the incel subreddit that I used to be a part of. As I said, I feel very lucky that I got snapped out of this by someone who responded with kindness and spent time connecting to my pain rather than just mocking it or laughing at it. And it dragged me out of it. She threw me a life raft when, I I want to sit here and say that I would have never gone into the hateful stuff that inceldom actually became, but I don't know what would have happened. I don't know what would have happened if I never got thrown that life raft and I kept getting rejected. And it's a misunderstanding of how much your environment and life experiences can shape your worldview to say that, oh, it just would have never happened to me. I don't know that. I'm going to sit here and say that, obviously, but I can't say that for 100% certainty because it's not possible to. I don't know if it would have done or not. There's loads of benefits to being empathic and learning that. You know, there's research showing that it improves satisfaction in relationships, ability to handle and, you know, navigate yourself through professional drama and stuff like that, and following promotions. It shows there was an increased level of success in school if you could be empathic, and I'm pretty sure they found that it boosts the serotonin circuitry in your brain and literally makes you happier. There's a ton of benefits as far as empathy for yourself, but I'm really just saying for someone else's sake, and if you don't want to do this, then don't, because it is a tall ask. I know these groups are weird. I was a fucking weirdo. Like, I still am a weirdo in some ways, but nowhere near to that degree. But
you know what?
It's a tall.
You know what, young man? I'm glad that you know that you were strange, and you are a strange young man. All right. Eclectic Tarot says the change starts with them. Also, many want women to solve their emotional and mental issues. Please seek professional help. This is a fact right here. Women shouldn't have to be your therapist, your doctor, your lawyer, right? Your pharmacist, your advocate, your civil rights attorney. You know what I'm saying? Like, men have to fight back. Men have to fight back. Why do you take yourself down a rabbit hole of loneliness? It's not useful. And yes, this is Confessions of a Lonely Incel.
Order, but if you're going to flex a muscle and try and improve yourself, it's a low level of empathy. If someone gets broken up with and you go, oh yeah, I know what that's like, you know. Everyone gets that to some extent, but, you know, trying to see someone else's worldview that you really don't, and what you might learn from that about yourself and about the world, and how it might make more sense. Like, these people aren't beyond empathy at all, and I'm just so glad that this girl knew that I wasn't beyond empathy either, and she showed me kindness. And she showed me kindness when I believed that there wasn't any. And just how impactful that was for my life, really. But yeah, hope this related to you, and yeah, the next time you see someone the next time you see someone who you think holds a weirdo freak belief, see how high your empathy level is, and if you can understand it from their perspective. And if you don't want to, don't. But I think you might learn something. So.
Okay, Sarah. Okay. Yeah, very interesting mindsets and just kind of tricky. You know, there's more. I have some more incels crying, but we're about 3 hours in. I'm hangry. I have to get some stuff done for the rest of the day. But thank you all for joining me for this stream today. Hopefully you enjoyed the subject. I will be permeating this subject from a more crime perspective. We did get sort of more in the social commentary aspect, which I think is a very important part of why it becomes crime. But we'll get into it on the next show. Remember, if you guys enjoyed this show, please do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. No weenies allowed. And I'll see you on the next one. All right, I'll play some music on your way out.
Florabella on my screen, her smile, it shines so bright. She's a queen with every scene, in the morning or the night. Recipes and good vibes flow, every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power. blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong, she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable flora. She's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable flora. She's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. Every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong, she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable flora. She's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong.